However, when Yunwoo smelled the smell, she still instinctively retched. But this time, she didn't really vomit. Instead, she endured nausea and ate the porridge in front of her. After a long time, although disgusted, Yunwoo didn't spit out his red eyes. The maid in front of him looked at Yunwoo with complicated eyes and sighed, "I really don't know why the girl is suffering from this kind of crime for such a child." Cloud dance is still no words, just smile, and then continue to go to the boulder. But before I got to the boulder, I had already vomited out. As soon as I was soft, I almost fell down. The maid behind me quickly put down her food box and went to help her. The body became weak day by day. Finally, Yunwoo took the chopsticks, fingers have no strength to pick up the chopsticks, jingle, chopsticks rolled to the ground. The maid sighed, took the chopsticks back, wiped them clean, and continued to give them to Yunwoo. But Yunwoo said with a bitter smile, I can't eat anything now. Take it away. The voice was weak as if to faint. Although the maid had never met Yunwoo, she could not help frowning. Girl, if you go on like this, you may not be able to wait for the birth of a child. Yunwoo smiles weakly. Although it has reached the level of weakness, she is still very happy in her heart, because the effect of absorbing dark energy here is very significant. Yunwoo obviously feels that the fetus in her abdomen is absorbing the dark energy around her, growing up gradually, and her body seems to be stronger. However, Yunwoo's body is gradually weaker. In a shadow not far away, the knight stands there quietly. The black robe hides him perfectly in the dark. He squints and looks at the cloud dancing, which is too weak to start, sitting under the stone. His deep eyes are dark. After a while, he turned and left. Seeing that Yunwoo really had no appetite, the maid sighed, put away all the food, turned around and left. Finally, she turned to Yunwoo and said, "I don't think you can go on like this. Girl, it's better to give up." Cloud Dance closed her eyes and shook her head weakly, "Since we have been holding on for so long, what else can't continue?" Time continues to move forward slowly, the feeling of Cloud Dance, every day there is a kind of feeling, finally opened his eyes in the dark. Cloud Dance vomited a breath, trance for a while, almost fell from the stone, quickly supported herself, she looked up around, everything around, a little trance. She doesn't know how long she has been here, or what kind of time is outside. She feels the growth of the fetus every day in a trance. This may be the happiest thing for her in this extremely painful time. Yunwoo's whole body is shaking slightly, her hair is dry and confused, her eyes are a little listless, her eyes are deep, her face is pale, because she has been absorbed energy for a long time, she has lost a big circle. At this time, coupled with the appearance of fatigue, her beautiful face actually had a trace of vicissitudes of life withered. She looked up at the darkness in front of her. Only a torch was weak. She closed her eyes, panted weakly, and her lips were dry. Shivering, her hands could hardly hold anything. She felt extremely fragile, as if she would die in the next second. Although this child is absorbing the energy of the dark place, he still seems to be absorbing his own energy. Yunwoo had already felt it, but for the sake of her child, she felt that she couldn't stop. She trembled, propped up her body and sat upright. Then she closed her eyes and continued to absorb the energy of the dark place. Night in the dark, eyes and hands cannot help but start a little bit more unexpected color. In such a bad situation, her body has obviously exceeded the load, but she still insists that even if her body has been destroyed by the dark energy, she constantly absorbs the dark energy to support her baby. She also knows that her energy is constantly absorbed by the fetus in her body. This child, just like the person sent by heaven to ask for Yunwoo's life, is constantly eating Yunwoo's will and body, making her weak. What kind of sacrifice can human women make for their children? Night heart sighs, eyes are full of accidents and inexplicable undercurrent, smile, disappear in the dark. Cloud Dance nearly collapse, for days, by the child's constant fetal movement toss can't eat, plus the child absorbed her energy, dark energy devastated her body. She lay on her side on the cold black boulder and looked at the sky with her eyes unfocused, motionless, like a doll about to fall apart. Around her, countless black streams, almost visible to the naked eye, gathered from all directions, and then all poured into Yunwoo's stomach. Yunwoo blinked and breathed. All the darkness in front of her kept spinning. In the darkness, all kinds of colors appeared again. Suddenly, many people appeared in front of her. Xiaomu, Shueyin, countless people who have already left are smiling at Yunwoo. Yunwoo looks at everything in front of her, and her eyes are red. Long Qingxie, where are you and how can I find you? The voice of Cloud Dance was extremely weak and trembling. Her voice was as thin as a mosquito's song. Even her breath was trembling. She closed her eyes and felt dizzy. People, Cloud family. Since the Cloud Dance disappeared that day, the whole Cloud family and even the whole human world have fallen out. Then, it was found that the mysterious night disappeared with it. In his fury, Yun Qi immediately orders to search the whole human world for their figures. Even Yun Lingyi goes out to look for them. But after so many days, there is no news. Yun Qi simply ordered to send someone to the upper boundary to ask all his friends in the upper boundary to help him find out. Now it has been going on for some days. On this day, Yun Qi finished reading the news from all over the world, but there was no news of Yunwoo, even at night. In a rage, Yun Qi threw out all the letters in his hand. I'm so angry. Yun Qi said angrily, this night, I should have seen him clearly. How could I believe him so easily? I'm really confused to regard him as a savior. One side of Gao Yu frowned and said, Master, although I haven't seen this night before, I don't think he's the kind of person who came here intentionally. It's not intentional. How did Xiao Wu disappear with him? Did Xiao Wu leave by herself? Yun Qi immediately retorted, you don't know that Xiao Wu has been in a coma for many days, and there is no sign of waking up at all. That night suddenly appears, and what he says is so strange. Who else can he be? Gao Yu frowned and knew that what Yun Qi said was the most possible, but he always felt that something was wrong. If he really wanted Yunwoo, according to the previous situation, he would not have to do any Yunwoo at all, I think of it. Gao Yu said suddenly, do you know the way to wake up that night? That's why we have to avoid all of us and take her away. Yun Qi's eyes were shocked. What did you say? The more Gao Yu thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. It's possible, it's really possible. That night didn't look malicious, and he told us so much about Mississippi. And the Nangong family also confirmed that what he said was true. Now he suddenly takes the young lady away, it must be because he knows how to make the young lady and the child live at the same time. I just can't figure out why he has to hide from so many of us since he is trying to help the young lady. Is there any other purpose for him? Yun Qi also thinks that what Gao Yu said is reasonable, and then he thinks about it together. Xiao Wu's identity is special. It's almost no secret in the human world and the upper world. It's just that there are not many people who know Xiao Wu's power. Is it difficult for him to know that night because it's so mysterious? It shouldn't be. Yun Qi is wringing his eyebrows. Now he has some belief that night has no malice to Yunwoo. The power in Miss Gao Yu was stunned. In fact, he didn't know these things. He only knew that Yunwoo's identity was very important. But listen to Yun Qi say so, it seems that the identity of the young lady also contains what power? Is it the power of the witches? Thinking of this, Gao Yu immediately stopped himself from thinking about it. After all, if these things are true, they must be the top secret of the family. He had better not contact them. No. Yun Qi said suddenly, if that night is aimed at the power of Xiao Wu, then his purpose must be not small. It's even possible that he is to use the little dance, let the little dance use those forces to do something for him. And what we can do with that power? Yun Qi looks at Gao Yu with eyes wide open. His voice is getting smaller and smaller. He doesn't even continue to say the following words, but the meaning of the words is self-evident. If so, I'm afraid the purpose of the night is not small. Master. Gao Yu stood up from the stool in a moment of shock, his eyes full of anxiety. Give me orders. Increase search efforts. Be sure to get the young lady back in the shortest time, yes. Nanganji and Chiyi's follow the map all the way to the east. After passing Huisher town and the top of the volcano, they still fly all the way to the east. They are not talkative people, so they seldom stay in the market. Even if they rest, they are still in the wild woods, resting in the trees at will. They finally became the first to approach their destination. Take a break. Nangongyi said, the destination is not far ahead. There will be a big war at that time. If you don't have a good rest, I'm afraid you will encounter problems. Chiyi didn't retort. She nodded quietly and said, well. Up to now, there is no more tree in the surrounding environment. Fortunately, both of them have adventure experience, so this time they went out to collect ice soul beads at the top of the desert. Originally thought it was safe, but just at the top of the volcano, there was no reaction between them. They felt that the power of the bead was smaller. I don't know where it is. There is no life here. Chiyi frowned and said, it seems that the power of this ice soul bead is smaller, but we seem to have just come to the edge. If we go on like this, its effect will be smaller and smaller. Nangongyi nodded, this place is really strange. What we are looking for is the fire of the alien world, but I have never heard of the name. On the way here, I divined for a while, but nothing came out. Said here, Nangongyi's voice paused for a moment, then said, I think, we are looking for something may exceed our previous cognitive range. Beyond recognition? Chiyi frowned, what does that mean? Nangongyi raised his head, looked at the front, and said, the fire of the alien world, just listening to the name, you can guess that it doesn't belong to the upper world, but the thing that can have such a great effect and kill the child can't be the human world. Chiyi's pupil suddenly enlarged, you mean? Nangongyi looks at her and nods silently. Before that, they were confident and scheming. At this time, they just felt that they had no bottom in their heart, but they never thought to shrink back. The idea in their hearts is almost the same, if they can't take things back, they will move forward even if they fight for their lives. After the rest time, when night comes, the temperature around seems to be lower, but it is still hot. That kind of heat is not like the sudden heat in the desert, and it seems to come from all directions. Even if the sun has set, it still can't change much. Let's go. Nangongyi stood up from the ground and said to Chiyi beside him, while Zisher is approaching, the heat will slow down a little. Maybe there is a better chance to get that thing. Chiyi naturally understood this, otherwise he would not be at ease to stay here for such a long time. At this time, hearing Nangongyi's words, he immediately stood up and flew to the depth together. The fire of the alien world, as the name suggests, is a fire from the alien world. When the two finally reach the edge of the time, and then out will enter the space turbulence. When you move here, you must always be careful of the surrounding environment, especially when dealing with the fire of the alien world. Otherwise, once you enter the space, you will never come back. Look over there. Chiyi saw a strange white flame near the turbulence of the space. Before the turbulence of the gray space, it was very difficult to identify because of the similar colors. Nangongyi looked over and saw the legendary fire of the alien world. There is such a thing. I thought I was cheated. I can't believe it really exists. Nangongyi said. In fact, he was still praying until the moment before, because he thought too much. The fire of the alien world was just an ordinary fire, which was precious at most. But when he saw it, Nangongyi confirmed his previous guess. I'm afraid this fire doesn't belong to the upper world and the human world. How? Chiyi looked at the fire and asked. It's so far away, but it's like the whole person is in the fire. No wonder you have to take the ice bead, otherwise it would have been roasted. Nangongyi's eyes looked around for a circle, but didn't see anything, so he said, Knight said there is a guard beast near here. We have been here for so long, but we haven't seen the guard beast's figure. It seems that we are calm. How could the guardian beast have such a high spiritual sense? Chi Knight surprised to get out of the voice. Maybe. Nangongyi said, let's get closer. Maybe he will come out and pay attention to the surrounding conditions. Good. Chi Night Color ordered to nod, then directly and South Palace two people together toward that regiment the fire of the different world moved past. As the distance between them and the fire of the alien world gets closer and closer, Bingpa bead seems to be gone. Sweat comes out one by one from them, wetting their clothes. The hot air seems to steam them. They were silent and didn't say a word. As they approached, they looked at the situation around them, as if they might suddenly attack at any time. Suddenly, just when they finally got close to the fire, a strong wave suddenly appeared in the air. Be careful. Nangong Yi drinks it in a low voice, and then turns around quickly. It's almost out of the instinct of adventure for a long time. The sword in his hand is directly in front of his chest. A hot force rushed towards him fiercely. Boom, hit on the sword, the huge force directly back him, but in the process of back, Nangong Yi still does not forget to protect Chi Yi's behind him. Human. The rough voice recalled that it was very abrupt in this lifeless world. Chi Knight in the hands of a long sword, make alert appearance, at any time to prevent the other side to rush. How are you? Chi Yi's asked seriously. Nothing. Nangong Yi rubbed his chest, this blow is not heavy, no harm. They were sure that there were no other living creatures around them. Then they stood side by side and watched the white flame in front of them. At this time, a pair of black eyes suddenly appeared in the flame, staring at them like this, looking very strange. You are Guardian Chi Yi's asks away. That pair of eyes ignored her question, then said, it's really human, how can you come here? Is that secret known? This word say, South Palace and Chi Night Color two people one after another Leng, look at each other one eye, see in each other's eyes puzzled. Secret? What's the secret? Isn't it? That pair of eyes seemed to be able to peep into people's hearts. Seeing that they were like this, they put away their killing intention. Well, I think so. It's just the human world and the upper world. No one can know that. Let's go. Although I don't know what your purpose is, it's unintentional. Leave here now, and don't disturb me again. That said, the color of those black eyes gradually became lighter, as if to escape into the white flame. Wait. Nangong Yi makes a sound at once. Well? Black eyes suddenly opened, a powerful pressure released instantly, showing the dissatisfaction and warning to the two people. Nangong Yi snorted in an instant, and the corner of his mouth overflowed with blood. Chi Night vision a cold, snake sword grip in hand, directly toward the white flame attack. Don't think too much of yourself. Black eyes seemed to become more profound, followed by a white flame light fluttering toward her. Chi Night body twist, unexpectedly dodged that to attack, the snake sword on the hand directly sent out. The black eyes didn't seem to expect that she had such strength, so they shot again. It was a white flame, but the speed was much faster than before. Master! Please show mercy, Nangong Yi said in an instant, we are from the human world. We have no malice. Chi Night Color body a meal, this pauses under also can't hide to pass, helplessly looking at that to record to attack toward own chest but. However, when the attack was close to the front of the body, it suddenly stopped at a distance of only 1 millimeter from the chest, and then dissipated directly. Come back. Nangong Yisheng says that Chi Yi's snake sword is horizontal in his hand. He retreats to Nangong Yi's side while guarding against the black eyes. Master, we didn't mean any harm. We just came here to save our friends. Nangong Yi stood up and said to the black eyes. Friends? Yes. Nangong Yi said, she is pregnant in bed now, but her husband doesn't know where she was taken by anyone, and she is always sleeping because of her baby in her stomach. We have got a way to say that only by using the fire of the alien world to kill her baby in her stomach can she wake up, otherwise she will always sleep deeply and know that all the energy in her body is absorbed. After Nangong Yi said this, his black eyes seemed to hear something terrible. Then he came out of the fire. A black soul body, which looks like an old man, comes to Nangongji's body as soon as it appears. He pulls his collar, and Chi Yi's snake sword will separate them. But just start, That old man then directly impatient of a wave hand, a palm lift her to fly. Chi Knight heavily fell on the ground, and the old man did not look at her, anxiously asked Nangong Yi, your friend is a demon? Nangong Yi is stunned, what? I said your friend is a demon. The old man frowned and roared, then murmured as if he thought of something, impossible, if she is a demon, how can she be sucked up by the baby in her stomach? It's impossible, but if it's not the demons, how can we use the fire of the alien world to save her? The old man's brow just twisted, and at last he was puzzled, but he didn't let go of his hand pulling Nangong Yi's collar. Is she pregnant with a demon child? Think of here, the old pupil suddenly tightening. Children of the demons. No wonder you have to use the fire of the alien world to kill them. Is it hard for you to make all your efforts in vain? Why does this happen? Nangong Yi heard some words from the old man's words, and he was already extremely shocked. Old man. Chi Yi stood up, clenched the snake sword in his hand, pointed to the old man and said, you let him go. The old man turned to look at Chi Yi's and said coldly, you are normal human beings, but I didn't expect to recognize such a friend. What are you talking about? Chi Yi's eyes are icy cold. If you say that again, I'll cut off your tongue. Cut it off. The old man said with a sneer, if I don't kill you, you should be grateful. Later, he didn't care about Chi Yi's. Instead, he frowned and looked at Nangong Yi. Your constitution is quite bright. How can you recognize such a friend? Is it hard to be cheated? Nangong Yi is not happy. In their hearts, friends are far more important than themselves. They may not be angry when they are insulted, but once someone insults their friends, they are enemies. Don't be upset. I'll take care of this matter. The old man said, and then he threw Nangongji aside and looked at the flame. Then it seemed that he was thinking about something. As soon as he lifted his hand, a red rabbit appeared in front of him. It was also a soul body, but the old man didn't see the call array flashing when he started. Otherwise, Nangong Yi would think that the old man was a summoner. You watch here. I'm going to leave. The rabbit seemed to be able to understand people's words in general, and then directly jumped into the group of white flames, which was obviously extremely hot, and could not cause any harm to him. Let's go. The old man said, take me to meet your so-called friend. Nangong Yi. Two people look at each other, take him? It doesn't look like he has any good intentions, and their purpose of coming here has not been achieved. How can they just leave? Well, what? You don't want to? To tell you the truth, I'm afraid the child in your friend's stomach should not come to this world and take me to have a look. If I guess correctly, I will help you kill the child. Maybe I can mercifully save your friend. If you don't want to, I will leave you here with me. At that time, I'll see that you took the fire of the alien world, or your friend will be sucked first. This words Chi Knight color. Two people simply a bite teeth, turn round and then take the old man toward the direction when coming. The town of Flint is full of people. Nangong Yi and Chi Yi's walk side by side, but the old man doesn't know what method he used to disappear. But the two of them could clearly feel that the old man was behind them. It seemed that they were being watched, which was very uncomfortable. Well, have you heard? There's something wrong with Yunwu who killed the beast gate before. In the discussion of the street, suddenly came the word, cloud dance. Of course I heard. It said that something happened the day before I got married. Alas, it's really evil. Such a good man should have met such a thing. He is really envious of the talent. I'm not talking about that. It said that now she's in trouble again, said the man who took the lead. Nangong Yi and Chi Yi's steps, regardless of the eyes behind them, go directly to the people who are talking and act as onlookers. Ah. What happened again? What's the matter? Isn't she in a coma? How could anything happen? Isn't Yunwu always in a coma because of what happened before the wedding? Later, a mysterious man came to Yun's home and said how to save her. But it seemed that he needed some rare things. You think, it's hard to save Yunwu? So many friends of Yun's family went out to look for things. As a result, most of the experts of Yun's family left. It's said that they went to find medicine, but who knows, just 2 days later, the mysterious man turned away from Yunwoo directly. Whoosh dash whoosh. A snake sword flew out in a flash. It could wipe the face of the man who was talking, and it flew directly into the wall. Chi Yi's figure moved. When he reappeared, he went directly to the man's side. He grabbed his collar and said coldly, "What did you say just now? Repeat what you just said." The man trembled all over. He didn't expect that someone would dare to fight in the street. What's more, the man in front of him seemed so powerful that he didn't dare move. "Say it." Chi Yi's cheers coldly again. The man swallowed hard, and then trembled and said, "I said, the cloud dance." Now something happened again. Nangong Yi stands behind and clenches his fists. He knows that Chi Yi's can't do it well, but even he wants to rush up directly. How can he stop it? Yunwoo was taken away. Now, both the human world and the upper world have been invited by the Cloud family to help find Yunwoo and the mysterious person dressed in black. No matter what method is used, if you can find them, you will get a large reward. A lot of people are eager to try, and even in order to get a reward to see people wearing black clothes sent to the past. Now people dare not even wear black clothes, for fear of being taken as that person, but up to now, they still have no whereabouts. The man carefully said that he didn't know how he provoked the person in front of him, but he was treated like this. Just when he was worried about what the person would do next, Chi Yi's released his hand directly. The next moment, he and another man directly disappeared in front of him. "Hi, Master." On one side, someone said in shock. "Well? Why did those two look so familiar just now?" A man who once talked about cloud dance said, "Ah. I got it. Aren't they friends of Yunwoo?" "What?" Chi Yi's and Nangong Yi are silent all the way, flying towards the transmission array leading to the human world. "You two, stop." The old man's voice sounded behind him. But they didn't stop at all. Now they are full of the news they heard. As for the rest, it doesn't matter, even if they annoy the old man behind them. Disobedient? The old man seemed to be a little annoyed. With a wave of his hand, two powerful energies rushed directly towards the two people in front of him. Chi Yi's quickly dodged to both sides, but I don't know if the old man was really angry. This attack was so fast that they didn't escape. Boom dash, two figures directly hit the tree in front, and then fell on the ground. The old man showed his figure and fell in front of them. He asked in a cold voice, "I ask you, the cloud dance that the man said is your friend?" Along the way, the old man has heard almost all of them, but the attitude of these two people really makes him feel aggrieved. He is a master of his own. If his name is reported, the whole world will be a sensation for him. But these two young people don't even pay attention to him. Ha. Nangong Yi wiped off the blood from the corner of his mouth, lowered his head and sneered. A touch of madness flashed in his calm eyes. "Yes, it's her. Aren't you going to have a look? Now that she's gone, you're still standing in our way. If you don't hurry back, I'm afraid something unexpected will happen again." Up to now, Nangong Yi is not willing to endure anymore. What he wants in his heart is to go back immediately. The old man's eyes are wide open, and another energy is directly fighting toward Nangong Yi. "Don't think I dare not kill you. How dare you speak to me in such a tone?" Nangong Yi is attacked again. These two attacks have no mercy at all. Now he doesn't even have the strength to get up. But even so, he remains silent. Chi Yi's on one side is very anxious. She wants to go back while worrying about Nangong Yi's injury. However, she can't move after the previous blow and is numb all over. Facing the old man in front of them, they didn't have the strength to fight back, but even so, they were still not afraid. If the old people want to kill them, I'm afraid they will be here today. The old man was silent and didn't know what he was thinking. After a long time, he looked up at the distance and murmured, "Is it going to change?" Words are too low, Nangong-yi. Two people didn't hear what he said. Then, the old man looked down at them, and said coldly, "You are the best. When you get to the human world, I'm afraid the girl won't be able to find it again." The weak is the trouble. After that, the old man went straight forward and grabbed one person in one hand. Then, with a flash of light, the figure of 3 people disappeared. People, Cloud family. The old man with a collar directly fell on the door of the Cloud family. As soon as the 3 figures appeared, the guards of the Cloud family immediately surrounded him. When they saw that Nangong and Nangong were in his hands, they were like enemies. There are too many things that have happened to the Cloud family recently, so they have to strengthen their defense. The old man's eyes swept around the bodyguards, made a scornful cold hum, and then directly threw them on the ground. Looking at a place, the old man could not help frowning. This force. Nangong-yi and Chi-yis have been shocked for a long time, but they didn't expect that the old man was so fierce and crossed the space to the human world with a very fast speed. And then they didn't have to show us the way, they came here directly. Such a long way, his speed is almost as fast as the upload and send array. What kind of power is this? Is it a magic weapon? Then he saw that the old man was always staring in one direction. Chi-yis was just curious, but Nangong-yi suddenly said, "This is where the mysterious power appeared that day." Then he took the man away. Xiaowu rushed up, but the strength of Wuling realm was useless at all. Finally, he was attacked by the enemy and was unconscious. The old man narrowed his eyes slightly. Wuling realm is not weak. It's just that I want to fight against it with this realm, but I still can't do it. As soon as the old man's words were finished, they looked at each other. It seems that the old man really knows something. Who dare to make trouble in front of my Cloud House? A full voice came, and then he saw Yunqi rushing out with a team whose strength was above the Wuzong realm. General Yunda. Don't be impulsive. Nangong-yi makes a sound and stops those people from rushing. Nangongji? Yunqi looks at the visitor in surprise and just wants to ask him how he came back. But all of a sudden, a very powerful breath appeared in an instant. With that breath coming, is a burst of hearty laughter. "Ha ha ha ha," I said, "my brother, if you don't guard your fire well, how can you come here? It's faster than me." The voice is extremely bold and unconstrained, just a word will let people feel that the voice of the master is not vulgar. Then, 3 figures fell down. Shengguan. Mu Xiuming. Nangong-yi and Mu Xiuming see that the 2 of them are Shengguan and Mu Xiuming. Then they immediately guess the identity of the old man who is coming. They are afraid that they are the same as the old man on their side. I just don't know why they can all come here. Is this little dance really tricky? You're here, too. The old man who followed Nangong-yi looked at the newcomer and said, "If this happens, I will come to see it. Don't say it's me. I'm afraid the 2 people from the south and the north will come, too. We haven't seen each other for many years. I didn't expect that we got together again because of this." The conversation between the 2 old people makes people understand a little. It seems that there are 4 of them, distributed in the 4 directions of east, west, north and south. This time, there are 2 of them. I'm afraid the rest of them will come here again. Mu Xiuming runs to Yunqi and tells him the origin of the old man. Yunqi's eyes change from shock to silence. "General Yun, these 2 people are very powerful. Let them live in Yunfu. Maybe they can know where Long Qingxie has gone, or how to find Xiaowu," Mu Xiuming suggested. Yunqi raises his hand and touches his chin. He regrets what happened the night before. Now 2 strangers make Yunqi think of the night again. But what Mu Xiuming said is reasonable. After a while, Yunqi finally made a decision. "Okay, let's invite them to stay." After that, he immediately sent someone to arrange the room and walked towards the 2 old men. Now it's on a mountain in Fairyland. On the smoky mountain range, the clouds are dancing and the immortal spirit is overflowing. At the end of the mountain range, there stands a very lofty mansion. The mansion is so big that it takes up half of the mountain, and the top of the mountain is immersed in a white fog, which makes the whole mansion more majestic and majestic. The whole mountain seems to be their place. Countless people in white robes are very comfortable walking in the mountains. The vast white clouds from the top of the mountain, half of the mountain will be shrouded, the trees and houses will be looming out, feeling as if floating in the air. Pavilions, carved beams and painted buildings make the whole residence immersed in a beautiful landscape like a dream. The waterfall flying down from the hillside is a piece of cool water vapor. In the river below the waterfall, some people are playing by the river and some people are drawing water. It is a paradise. In the middle of the mansion, there are also simple and elegant rooms, small bridges, flowing water, and winding rivers flowing on the road, just like a small town. Countless houses are uneven, but they are very elegant, which makes people have a kind of poetic gentle beauty. By the mountain and by the water, white fog poured down from the top of the mountain, but it just came into the yard. In a quiet and uninhabited room, simple beds and furnishings, light white curtains, simple teacups, tables and chairs, sandalwood is burning in the room, sending out fragrance, a silent. Long Qingxie is sleeping quietly, his eyes are closed tightly, his eyelashes are drawing a shadow on his face. He looks very pale, but it doesn't seem to matter. Yes, he is Dragon Qingxie, the Dragon Qingxie who was suddenly engulfed and disappeared by the black light column. But now suddenly appeared here, and he came here is not 1 or 2 days, but how long? Long Qingxie said he has been in a mess. Long Qingxie's complexion was much better than when he was engulfed by the black light column at that time. It was obvious that the injury had been alleviated, but he didn't open his eyes all the time. He was dressed in clean clothes, and his clean quilt was also fragrant. Strands of black hair were scattered on his head, and several wounds and the cyanosis on his face made him look very charming and beautiful. The faint black fog around him made him look strange, and he was becoming thinner and thinner. His face was haggard and pale, and his whole body was thinner. When he wakes up again, Long Qingxie breathes in his heart. He always falls into sleep without his control. When he wakes up again, he just wakes up. But every time he tries to open his eyes, he can't open them. It seems that there is some force pulling him. He is conscious, but he can't control his body. This feeling of powerlessness made him very distressed and angry. If someone wanted to kill him at this time, he could not resist. In the whole building, there is always an invisible pressure, which makes Dragon Qingxie feel suffocated. The invisible pressure comes from all the people around him. He has a concept of this place in his mind. The lowest level here is very powerful, and the realm is excellent. But he had nothing to do. Every day, he could feel that someone came in to take care of him, someone put water into his mouth, and he could also know that every day someone would walk through the window, and some people would still stand in the window and talk about it. He didn't know why, but he couldn't wake up. And such a situation has been for a long time. Every time when they restore consciousness, can only feel a vast expanse of nothingness. However, when he wanted to open his eyes and look at the present situation, he found that it was very difficult to open his eyes and move his body. It was as if he was trapped in consciousness and separated from his body. During this period, there are a group of people who often appear in the room where he lives. They are scattered around the bed and whispering. They don't know what they are talking about. But Long Qingxie can always feel an extremely powerful pressure and linger on them. Long Qingxie knew that the realm of these people must be higher than himself. Because he couldn't feel the state and ability of these people, he was even more surprised. Who are these people? Why did you catch yourself here? What kind of place is this? Just catching one person, why do you have to work so hard to hurt so many people? But these questions have not been answered since he came to this place, because he can't speak at all. He breathed in his heart. The situation has been almost clear for such a long time. It seems that these people do not pose a threat to his life. It seems that they are trying to do something to themselves. Every day, he was observing and discussing, so every day, the feeling in his body was almost the same. First, there was an abnormal energy fluctuation, and then he lost consciousness and went into nothingness. He was not nervous, so he had to give up struggling and trying to open his eyes, and quietly let himself lie in a comfortable and soft bed. I don't know how long I've been here, but Long Qingxie can feel the slow growth of black energy in his body every day. He is very helpless about his situation and doesn't know what makes his body change so much. I don't know what's the situation of Yunwu now, what's the situation of other people. Is Yunfu a mess now? What's going on in the human world? This time, the occurrence of things caught people off guard. It took a month for Long Qingxie to figure out what it was. Since that day, he was engulfed by the black light column. The last scene he saw in the light column was that everyone was knocked down by the light column and spat blood. And Cloud Dance, let him heartache more, she is full of scars, vomit blood, already crumbling. However, she rushed to the black light column again and again, blaming herself for not protecting the little guy and making her afraid for herself. However, until now, she didn't know where she was and how long she left. I've been awake in a coma, I've been in a coma, I've been tossing and turning, but I can't open my eyes all the time. I want to see what kind of place it is and what kind of people are around me. I suddenly feel my weakness and insignificance for a moment. But he can obviously feel that the energy here is very abundant. If he practices here, he may break through soon. So what he expects now is that he can open his eyes and move as soon as possible, then he can adjust his breath and heal as soon as possible, and then go to find Yunwu. However, if it is not because his body has no way to absorb energy, then now, he will get up and sit with his knees crossed, dominating all the energy here for himself. So when he was sober, he began to look inside his body and swam away the channels in his body. Before, the channels were damaged because of the phagocytosis of the black light column, but now he has almost recovered. But Dragon Qingxie also found that the dark energy in his body seems to be more and more strong. Compared with yesterday, the strength in his body has increased significantly, and the growth is also very strange. At this time, he was very curious about what the hell this place was, and how could it make such a strange change. This place must not be simple. Suddenly, a sound of footsteps came in from the outside. It's easy to hear that there are about 5 or 6 people in the voice, which makes Long Qingxie nervous, but he can't help thinking that the group of people are coming again. It has been several times in such a long time. When this group of people came to him, Long Qingxie could vaguely hear some information about the human world, which made Long Qingxie more anxious. They must know something. But they seemed to speak very carefully, for fear that something might be known to Long Qingxie, so Long Qingxie could not hear anything clearly. What he wants to do now is to open his eyes and ask, what's the situation with Yunwu and Shengguan? Who are you? Why are you arresting me? However, he could not open his eyes or open his mouth to ask. Only a few people came in from the gate. They were all in white robes. They were young, but they looked very serious. One by one, they went to the bedside of Long Qingxie. Some people felt the pulse of Long Qingxie, some people looked at Long Qingxie's eyes. Looking at Long Qingxie, they frowned and looked down at Long Qingxie as if they were I was thinking about something, and then several people turned their heads to discuss something. Long Qingxie is full of vigilance. Although he can't act now, he vaguely feels that they have surrounded him. And what are they talking about? This makes Long Qingxie unable to hear clearly at all, so Long Qingxie focuses on what these people are saying, but after all, it's still intermittent words, which makes Long Qingxie a little depressed. Suddenly, not far away from the dragon, there was a man and another man whispering something in a low voice. Among them, Long Qingxie clearly heard some words about cloud dance and human world, which made him very curious. Intermittent dialogue, you say a word, I say a word, came from the surrounding population, originally nothing, but, the name of cloud dance suddenly appeared from several people's mouth, but let Dragon Qingxie heart shocked, suddenly heart beat faster, the energy in the body suddenly fluctuated. The people who had been standing beside Long Qingxie and talking about it carefully, when they felt the weak energy fluctuation, were suddenly shocked. Is this the energy wave coming from him? It seems that's the only possibility, but it's impossible. One after another, several people gathered around and looked at the dragon in surprise, frowning. What's the matter with this man? He is clearly undergoing evolution, how can there be energy fluctuations? Isn't he in a coma now? Can he hear us now? Is this person still conscious? A person looking at the people around, very worried, this situation is really the first time to see. What are we going to do now? Someone asked. What can we do? Let's solve this problem first, let him fall asleep and lose consciousness, and then go to the elder for help. One said. Then, everyone nodded, then everyone went forward, surrounded the dragon in the center, and closed their eyes. The secret way in Long Qingxia's heart is not good. He just wants to pour out a fighting spirit from his body to stop these people, but he only feels that a few forces suddenly rush into his body from all directions, making him even more motionless. He was in a hurry to stop, but suddenly he heard someone say, "This man is still fighting, my God, he is not a man." Then, more violent energy suddenly poured into his body, and then his mind suddenly went blank. Long Qingxia felt that his breathing was a little difficult. He gradually felt that his consciousness pulled away from his body, and finally he didn't know anything. Come on, let's go and tell the elder. How strange this man is. Some people said that they all took credit and looked very anxious. Then, several people went to the door, some people also turned to confirm the dragon's evil situation, this really turned to leave the room, footsteps in a hurry. This kind of situation is really hard to see, this person's willpower is too strong. I don't know why the Presbyterian Council arranged for us to train this man. There was a lot of discussion. But we didn't see that the dragon on the bed suddenly frowned. Several people rushed out of the house and ran along the path in front of them. In front of Ruada's cloister, I ran for a long time, but I didn't run to the end. After a long time, in the smoke, several people came to the gate of the largest mansion in the building. Among the lush trees in the deep of the mansion, the verdant green reflects the huge skyrocketing buildings, which are like fairyland. After taking a deep breath, they carefully arranged their clothes and hair crowns. Then they quickened their pace and walked in, looking very respectful. As soon as he got to the front of the stairs, he was stopped by the man at the door. The man looked down at the white robes that several people were wearing, and then raised his head to restore his indifference. What's the matter with you? The gatekeepers were two very childish children. They were dressed in white and looked straight in front of them. They didn't have any emotional fluctuation and were very indifferent. But these people didn't dare to neglect them at all. They quickly bowed down and said, "Please tell the elder that we have something to ask. It's about the dragon's evil spirit." "Yes, please wait here for a moment." A man turned and walked into the hall. There was a long ladder in front of the hall. It seems that the steps can't reach the end at a glance, but they go straight to the entrance of the hall. Although the doorman seems to walk slowly. But in a twinkling of an eye, it has been far away. In a twinkling of an eye, it has entered the main entrance of the hall. These people were not surprised at all. They lowered their heads, hugged their hands and stood quietly waiting. The other doorman stood there motionless and expressionless. After a long time, the child finally came back. The white figure slowly came down the stairs and came to the door. Without looking at a few people, he turned over and let out the road behind him. A few people expressed their thanks in a hurry, and then run in a hurry. The steps are long and upward, and the skill of a few people is very good. They will have reached the gate of the hall without any effort. At the gate of the main hall, several people and the guards at the gate explained the situation and were finally invited in. The main hall is very open. Countless white-robed people are standing around and talking in a low voice. The old man sitting in the middle is closing his eyes and motionless. Elder. A few people have not come to the door of the hall, they have been anxious to shout up, immediately attracted everyone to turn their heads to wait and see. Elder, we have come to you for advice. One of them came forward and knelt on the ground, Elder. In the process of evolution, the dragon can still have consciousness and fight against it. Although his resistance can't become anything, it really surprised us at the same time, all the people in the hall exclaimed. It's really hard to see such a situation. Yes, if it's really according to what they say, then this person is terrible. I really want to see what kind of person can be such a strong existence. On the stairs, the old man finally gradually opened his eyes, nodded at several people and let them enter the hall. Several people bowed to salute in a hurry. Then they walked into the hall with their heads down. On the steps, they saw an old man sitting there with white hair, white beard and white robe. He quietly closed his eyes, did not look at these people, but suddenly opened his mouth. The voice is light, slow. In the end, what's the matter? You tell me carefully, don't panic. Elder, we found that even if we wash the dragon's evil body, he is still conscious. He can also produce energy fluctuations. We are afraid. Don't be afraid. The elder finally opened his eyes and frowned deeply, but this man's will seems to be very strong. He got up from his seat and walked slowly down the stairs with his hands on his back and his clothes and hair calm. What a curious person. After a long time, the elder sighed, shook his sleeve and said, "Take me to see him." With these words, those people didn't dare to neglect, so they quickly made way for the elder to go first. People on both sides of the road bowed and watched the elder walk out of the hall. A few people take the elder to walk all the way. A few people accompany the elder to the room of Long Qingxie. Dragon Qingxie is still lying there quietly, breathing steadily. The elder stepped forward and looked at it carefully. Then he frowned. You say, is he still conscious? Can you still hear us? Yes, elder, he can still hear us now. Even though we have increased our training, his consciousness seems to be particularly strong. One of them said to the elder worried. How is this man now? The elder went forward and carefully examined the sleeping dragon Qingxie. Tell the elder that he has fallen into a deep sleep because we have strengthened our training, but I think he will wake up all the time. Next to a white-robed man respectfully said. The elder walked forward and looked down at the dragon. Finally, he nodded and got up straight, lost in thought. Elder, just because of his dark constitution and the bright constitution of the cloud dance of the sorcerer clan, we are thinking about whether we need to eliminate the memory of dragon's evil spirit in the process of evolution, so as to help him break away from the world, please the cloud dance, and really integrate into the fairyland. One of them said that all the people in the temple were silent. But all of a sudden, a strange wave came out of the dragon on the bed. All of a sudden, everyone was shocked and turned to see it. Dragon Qingxie frowned slightly and looked very unhappy. Although he was sleeping, there was a faint murderous air all over his body, which made everyone's mouth open. Obviously, he may have heard us talk about the cloud dance, and he said that he had to lose his memory. Said a man in white. The elder frowned and nodded. He bowed his head and pondered for a moment. Then he said, continue to increase the strength of training, and make him completely sleepy. Yes, elder. Those people nodded and said yes one after another, then stood beside the dragon and closed their eyes. Not long after, a few people's hands at the same time sent out a light ray, pure fighting spirit instantly poured into the dragon's body. Then, the dragon will never move again. Finally, the wave of wandering in the dragon's evil body gradually disappeared. This made everyone around breathe out, even the elder's brows were stretched out. On the other side. At this time, in the dark, the huge black stone still exudes the piercing cold, lying on the boulder, chest up and down, but no other movement. It's been a long time since the baby was born. Originally, she was pregnant in October, but Yunwu felt that the time might have passed, because now the baby's body is too big. Yunwu is lying on the boulder, pale, haggard, with deep eye socket. If he is not still breathing, people will feel whether he is dead or not. She took a deep breath and felt that her body was close to death. Even her eyes were sour. She didn't eat for a long time. She felt that everything in front of her was floating, and sometimes the sky was still spinning. For such a long time, Yunwu, because of this child's business, has been suffering from food and tea, and her eyes are dull. However, the child in her stomach is still absorbing the dark energy, and is slowly growing bigger. Her stomach is getting bigger and bigger. Her huge stomach almost broke her clothes. All the blood vessels are winding on her belly, and her belly is almost transparent, as if it can be seen. I saw the baby in my stomach. Not only that, the child kicks in her stomach all day. Yunwoo was breathing and moving hard, and she felt as if her consciousness was about to pull away. These days, she has nothing to eat, only drink a little water every day, close to the previous better physical fitness, can be dying to survive. Such a large stomach clearly has exceeded the level of ordinary pregnant women to give birth. However, Yunwoo still didn't feel like giving birth. She couldn't help laughing bitterly. It was clear that she had eaten the evil fruit. But now that she had reached this level, she had to say that the child was born anyway. She moved hard for a while, already cold sweat, pale face, more and more difficult. It is likely that next, his stomach will be burst by the child. Yunwoo feels that the child in her stomach is gradually absorbing her own energy, which is obviously exhausted. She wants to call the contract beast, but she finds that the contract beast doesn't know when to be cut off, and can't be contacted in any case. At this time, she found that she had put herself in a dilemma. But the child in the belly, but a little bit of absorption of energy and grow up. Yunwoo is lying on the stone. At this time, she can't feel the cold, and her clothes are a little shabby. She just lies on the stone quietly, her eyes are confused. She opens her mouth and shows a satisfied smile. Anyway, the baby in her stomach is still growing up, which is enough. When the maid went into the dark place again, her steps were already shrinking, because she couldn't bear to see the cloud dancing. It was like a skeleton. Her eyes were blank, her eyes were deep, her lips were pale. It was obvious that she was about to die. Her whole body was skinny. But even so, she didn't seem to want to give up the child. She felt like she was going to die. After taking care of Yunwoo for such a long time, she can't help but feel distressed when she sees everything in the woman's eyes. "Eat, girl." The maid cried carefully. She was afraid that a little loud voice would disturb Yunwoo, and then frightened her. She put the food box on the ground. Yunwoo didn't speak. She just lay on the stone, shook her head and closed her eyes. She couldn't eat for so many days. Yunwoo didn't believe that she could eat now. The maid sighed, took out the water from the food box, went to Yunwoo's side, helped her drink, and then took away the food. Day after day, I don't know how long it has been. Yunwoo has been in this state. It can't eat anything, and the water is just a few mouthfuls. Night has been quietly around the clouds. Careful observation, this woman's tenacity and willpower is simply incomparable to ordinary people. If you change into ordinary people, I'm afraid there is no way to bear such pain. Such a woman, give people the feeling is really terrible. The corners of the mouth with a faint smile, tut praised twice, and then disappeared. But Yunwoo has been concentrating on raising the baby. She didn't find that night. She was so weak that she couldn't move. She raised her hand slightly. When she saw her hand as dry as grass, she gave a wry smile and touched her stomach. Her stomach is hard, and there is a growing trend. She frowns tightly, but she always has a very bad feeling in her heart. The child in his stomach seems to feel the touch of Yunwoo, and suddenly moves. However, the fat body moves in Yunwoo's body, which makes Yunwoo pale and suffocated by the fat baby. She bit her lips and did not let herself make any sound. She just let the fat baby in her body move in her body as if she were very happy. The fetal activity is more and more frequent, and his huge body moves in Yunwoo's stomach, which makes Yunwoo's daily suffering worse and weaker, and the baby seems to be unwilling to let Yunwoo go, and still sucking the life energy in her body crazily, is still in the dark place, but Yunwoo's body has become incomparable fragile. She closed her eyes, seems to have given up resistance, let the baby in the body wantonly eating. During this period, she has been trying to explore her body with fighting spirit, but she can't find any feeling of the baby, nor can she explore any lifeblood. He breathed and had to give up. "Girl." The maid came to the land of darkness again. After such a long time, there is only this maidservant who feels dependent on Yunwoo. Every day, she will conscientiously bring a lot of food and take good care of Yunwoo, so that Yunwoo will not starve to death. Here you are. Cloud Dance has collapsed, the voice is even smaller than the voice of mosquitoes, she laughed, a very sad smile. Try again today. Can I have some dinner? The maidservant put the food in front of Yunwoo, took the bowl, and sent it to Yunwoo's mouth. You try, although it's a little uncomfortable, but if you really eat it, it's good for the children. Yunwoo sighed. His face had turned pale and gray. The maid put the spoon close to her mouth. For the first time in so many days, Yunwoo opened her mouth, ate the rice into her mouth and swallowed it. Although she was still miserable, she finally felt less disgusting. She swallowed hard. Her maid was very surprised. She quickly came forward and handed her the water to drink. Then she took a mouthful of rice and fed it to her mouth. Cloud Dance can't help but smile bitterly, the eyes looking at the maid are full of gratitude, the voice is too small to hear clearly, said 2 words. The maid was confused, so she stepped forward and listened carefully. Anyway, thank you for taking care of me, otherwise I might have died long ago. Cloud Dance said with a bitter smile. But the maid shook her head and said with a smile, I really think that a mother can be so kind, for the sake of her children, she can make herself like this. But Cloud Dance in the heart but very helpless smile voice, this maidservant certainly don't know what happened to me, Night certainly didn't tell her, had to sigh, shake head and don't speak. Why don't you get up and have a try? If you eat it, isn't it a happy thing for everyone? Yunwoo thought it was the same, so she opened her mouth and took out the food from her food box. It was very light, only porridge and vegetables. Finally, after so many days of Cloud Dance, I had my first meal. The maid almost cried with joy and felt happy for Yunwoo. The tumbling in her stomach was not so serious, but after a long time of not eating, she suddenly had more food in her stomach, which was very painful. Her face was cold and sweaty, and she couldn't help curling up. But her huge stomach made her helpless. The maid hurried forward and looked at Yunwoo at a loss. She didn't know what she was going to do next, so she had to comfort her. It's a good thing to be able to eat. Don't worry. Tomorrow may be better. The maid said anxiously. Yunwoo nodded and didn't want to talk at all. The maid filled her with a bowl of water and slowly fed her to drink. Then she picked up her things and left. Curled up on the boulder for a long time, the feeling of digesting food in her stomach made the clouds dance in cold sweat. She clenched her teeth and her eyes were full of pain. The fat baby seemed to feel her pain, and the dancing became more intense. Finally, Yunwoo, who had been tortured, couldn't help crying out. Her eyes were full of tears, but she bit her teeth to keep the tears from flowing down. It wasn't until after a long time that Yunwoo finally vomited. She felt that the pain in her stomach had been alleviated. Her cold sweat made her feel that her whole body was soaked with sweat. She was paralyzed on the stone for a long time and didn't respond. The sweat was blown by the cold wind in the dark place, and it was cold again. Yunwoo vomited. He didn't know whether it was the feeling in his heart or the function of food. With a little strength, he was suddenly upset. I don't know where Long Qingxia is, where Shengguan are, and what happened to Yunfu. Now, is there any meaning in my persistence and struggle? She lay on the boulder, closed her eyes, and again, tried to explore the child in her stomach. She never gave up every day. Over and over again, she just wanted to see how magical the child was. Cloud Dance is still trying to see the situation of his stomach. After swimming the fighting spirit around, he suddenly finds that his fighting spirit can actually see the situation in his stomach. A burst of excitement in my heart, I rushed to pour all the fighting spirit into my stomach. Suddenly, in the blurred vision, a chubby baby appeared in the middle of his stomach. The baby's body size was beyond the size of the baby in labor. The big one seemed to be a child of 1 or 2 years old. At this time, he shrank in his own stomach. Obviously, he was very wronged. This small place could not hold him anymore. At this time, he seemed to be angry at any time I'm going to burst my stomach everywhere. Yunwoo's stomach was propped up by him. He felt that it was about to explode, but he continued to move uneasily. The dark smell from his whole body made Yunwoo frown. The feeling of this child is really uncomfortable. With a sigh in her heart, she was thinking, why does this child only absorb the energy of darkness, but not the energy of light? It is clear that the dragon and himself are two different systems. Does this child only inherit the system of dragon? All of a sudden, Yunwoo felt the strong breath of life from the fat baby, which surprised her very much. She could finally feel the baby. However, she could not help frowning, because at this time, she suddenly felt that the person who released the breath of life was not just the fat baby. In her feeling, it seems that there are two at the same time. In her stomach, she slowly swam the fighting spirit all over her stomach. In the dark environment of her stomach, Yunwoo searched among them. She was very curious, who was this other breath of life coming from? Suddenly, the fighting spirit of Cloud Dance wants to touch with that breath. All of a sudden, Yunwoo felt that the breath was in front of her, and hastened to make the fighting spirit close to the breath. But what she saw next made her heart sink suddenly, and her mind almost fainted with a buzzing sound. Because she saw, under the fat baby, in a small corner, a small, weak, smoking baby, curled up there. It seemed that his body size was not as big as that of the fat baby. Moreover, he has shortness of breath, unstable heartbeat, and nearly transparent skin. Obviously, he is very weak and malnourished. This little baby has been pushed out by fat baby for a long time, and can't get nutrients at all. Yunwoo looked closer, only to find that the breath of light emitted by the baby was clear, and the baby actually absorbed the power of light, that is to say, the two constitutions of one light and one dark existed in the two babies. But now in the dark, the baby with light constitution has no energy to absorb, and the crazy growth of the baby with dark constitution has created today's situation. The baby with light constitution almost died in her abdomen, and she is very weak. If she doesn't absorb energy as soon as possible, I'm afraid she will die in her stomach. Cloud Dance gently will fight around the child seems to feel the mother's care in general, suddenly moved twice, clearly clenched small fist, suddenly opened, toward the direction of fighting, slowly opened his arm, he wanted to ask for a hug. Cloud Dance in the heart of a warm, but a burst of sadness. How could this child be treated like this? I can't help blaming myself. If I could see the situation in my stomach earlier, I wouldn't be concerned about the child's growth. Now think about it. The reason why I am so sad and painful is that the child with light constitution has not absorbed his own energy. Therefore, his body has been eroded by the dark energy step by step, so he is so weak now. After thinking about the cause and effect, Yunwoo suddenly froze. Because she suddenly remembered what Ye said at that time, the child in her stomach needs to absorb the dark energy to thrive. In other words, Ye clearly knows the specific situation of this child, but he did not say that he has another child in his stomach. Yunwoo's heart suddenly burst into anger, which made her gnash her teeth angrily. This night, since we can see the situation in her stomach, how can we not see it? In fact, there are two children in her stomach. What's his peace of mind? Will only one of the children absorb energy and not supply it to the other child, and want to raise the baby of dark constitution and kill the baby of light constitution? What is his intention? He clenched his fists gradually, took back his fighting spirit slowly, opened his eyes and gritted his teeth. This night, I really don't know what his mind is thinking. Is this person a good person or a bad person? Is he on his side or on another unknown opposite? To think about it, those who capture the dragon's evil spirit are the people who are at odds with themselves. In the dark, the angry Cloud Dance finally forced herself to calm down, and pressed her anger to the bottom of her heart, which made her dizzy and more uncomfortable. At this time, she was very weak. If she had any conflict with the night people here, it might be very bad for her. What's more, it's the night's territory. We can't scare the snake at this time. What's more, Night doesn't intend to let her know that she has two children in her stomach, which must have some purpose. So now I can only do everything I can to hide my child's situation, and then find a time to leave here quietly, which is the most important thing. Obviously, the maid was watching her under the banner of delivering food every day. And Night, for such a long time, has not seen the night. Cloud Dance does not know what is going on, but in the dark, Cloud Dance feels that the purpose of night is not simple. Moreover, perhaps it is because of this child that his body is becoming thinner and weaker. Perhaps, when a child with bright constitution grows up, she will not lose both of them. In the cold and dark place, every day is full of depression and pain, but now the Cloud Dance suddenly has a general motivation and strong spirit. Yunwoo forced himself to sit up from the boulder, supported his huge stomach, folded his legs, closed his eyes, and put the fighting spirit in his body back into operation. This time, it was different from usual, because at this time, a strong desire for survival rose in Yunwoo's heart, for himself and his children. The maid came to deliver the meal again. When she came into the dark place with her food box, she just saw the Cloud dancing, which was weak and could not move. She was sitting on the boulder and was quiet. Although she was so weak, she was still afraid of the pressure from her body. She stepped back, stepped on the stone and nearly fell down. She could not help but exclaimed. Cloud Dance opened her eyes and said, "Are you here?" At this time, the feeling of the whole body of Yunwoo is different from that in the past. In ordinary days, Yunwoo is weak and can't open her eyes. Today, I don't know why it just looks tired. Although Cloud Dance still looks so thin and weak, but obviously, the breath has been strong a lot. The maid stepped back and swallowed, "Miss Yunwoo." She carefully looked at Yunwoo. "You feel better recently?" "Well, it's better. Thanks to your care these days." Yunwoo lowers his head and smiles, walks down from the huge stone and sits next to it. The maid still put the food in front of Yunwoo. "Yunwoo girl, you look good today. You'd better try to eat some." Yunwoo smiles, walks down the boulder and takes the chopsticks. The maid quietly gives Yunwoo food and water. Yunwoo sits beside the stone and looks at the busy maid with great interest. The maid seemed to feel Yunwoo's eyes. She raised her head timidly and looked at Yunwoo. Then she quickly lowered her head and continued to pack. Yunwoo thinks it's funny. It's like this person is exposing something in front of him. He's afraid of his hands and feet. "Are you the man of the night?" Yunwoo leaned against the boulder and asked suddenly. Smelling the taste of food, her stomach surged, but she bit her teeth, reached for chopsticks, and tried to eat the dishes on the plate. The maid was a little flustered. She lowered her head and nodded. "It's the adult who asked me to take care of you. The adult said that if I can't take care of Yunwoo girl well, it will kill me. What time is it outside now?" Cloud Dance filled the bowl of porridge, took a sip and took a deep breath. "What about the night? Why don't you come?" "Miss Cloud Dance, the night master has a lot of time to do and has no time to see you every day. Please don't blame the night master." The maid seemed very flustered. "It's night outside now. So did the night say anything about me?" Cloud Dance said, and then a spoonful of porridge to drink, a red-eye, swallowing saliva, stomach down the river, and then a spoonful of porridge. "No, Lord Night just said, let me meet all the requirements of Yunwoo girl." The maidservant looked at Yunwoo eating for a long time. Yunwoo never ate a few mouthfuls of food, but she was eating all the time today. To her surprise, she was also very surprised. She quickly gave Yunwoo something to eat. All the requirements, why the words are so funny, make Yunwoo almost laugh. "Then I want to go out, can you satisfy me?" Cloud Dance raises eyes, one eye is full of unfathomable with irony. Sure enough, the maid looked around in panic, then lowered her head, thought for a while, and slowly shook her head. "Lord Night said that all the requirements can meet you except to let you leave." Cloud Dance did not speak, but just a faint smile, continued to eat. It's not that she's better, but that she has the motivation to eat even if she vomit. In order to save her physical strength, she turns to look at her maid one day, but she looks very flustered. She always looks around and doesn't know what she's afraid of. "I haven't eaten so much food in my stomach for a long time." After holding up too much food, Yunwoo suddenly felt that his stomach was torn and he was sweating. But maybe it was because of the hope that she had a better appetite and more food. Yunwoo resisted her discomfort, forced her nausea and turned pale. Miss Cloud Dance, I think the Night Lord may be really for you. The maid said such a strange word, then continued to bow her head, looked at the dishes in front of her, and said nothing. Will you keep me here for my own good? Yunwoo sighed, shaking his head helplessly, lowered his head and continued to pick up the food with chopsticks and put it into his mouth. What's the plan of the night? I don't think you're a bad person. Why don't you just tell me here, I won't tell you. The maid was a little flustered. She looked around, then shook her head and kept on lowering her head. Cloud Dance also frowns, this woman is really strange, can't you say that Night doesn't let her say anything? Or who's watching her? Pursed his mouth, the mouth of things barely swallow, looking at the plate of things have gone, take porridge sip down, a warm stomach after a stab. Yunwoo feels that the fat baby in her stomach is moving. There is another nausea in her stomach. She covers her mouth and her eyes are red. She is forced to resist the nausea. Miss Cloud Dance, are you okay? Have some water. The maid quickly came forward, put a bowl in front of Yunwoo and fed it to Yunwoo's mouth. Yunwoo took 2 draughts of water and finally felt more comfortable. He took a deep breath and looked down for a moment. The maid was very kind to herself, but she seemed to be on guard. The maidservant never talks much and does not care. She just does her job well and answers her questions in a safe way. And every time she asked about the night, the maid was in a panic, which made Yunwoo feel a little strange. Well, what is the Night doing now, and how long is he going to come to see me? Cloud Dance bowed his head to meditate, and then asked unintentionally, I haven't seen him for some time. Well, I don't know. The maid continued to lower her head, the Night Master said that as long as he is free, he will surely come to see Yunwoo girl. Do you know what kind of alien world we are in now? Cloud Dance asked again. The maidservant still shook her head, I don't know, because I was also brought by Lord Yi from the human world. Clearly nodded, Cloud Dance squinted, silent for a long time, and asked, do you know the true identity of the Night? The maidservant looked up at the Cloud Dance for a long time. Her eyes were full of confusion. After thinking for a while, she slowly shook her head. Then, the maidservant began not to speak. She just hesitated and agreed. Later, when she asked again, the maid didn't say a word. Finally, seeing that Yunwoo had finished eating, she packed up her things, stood up and bowed to Yunwoo, then turned and left. After a long time, Yunwoo finally felt less disgusted, so she propped up her heavy body. The huge baby's legs were shaking. If it wasn't for her strong physical fitness, I'm afraid her legs would be broken now. Just touched the warm food, the whole body finally had a trace of warmth, at this time, once again touched the ice-cold boulder, suddenly another shiver, Yunwoo's face is very ugly, but just tightly pursed his mouth, silent. Yunwoo sat back on the boulder and sneered in his heart. For my good, how could he ignore another child? I'm afraid it's time to do something with your children. Cloud Dance sneer in the heart, this kind of thing, how can let him succeed? Close your eyes and see another weak child in the body. This child is very tenacious. Although he has been squeezed by the fat baby and is dying, he is still breathing tenaciously. His small stomach is fluctuating. Obviously, the rhythm of breathing is not stable, sometimes fast and sometimes slow, which is not like a healthy and normal person. However, such a small body, even if he has only a little space to nourish him, is also growing slowly. Yunwoo felt soft. The child was so weak that she didn't know whether the source of her life would work for him, but she had to try. She couldn't watch her child die in her abdomen, so she closed her eyes with the attitude of trying, separated the source of life in her body and gave it to her little body. But unexpectedly, let her surprise scene appeared. A small person is like a small animal that hasn't eaten for a long time. Before touching his body, the source of life has been felt by him and absorbed by him in an instant. He seems to feel the vitality and the whole person is active. However, Yunwoo frowned again. Such a small body can't grow up in such a dark place. It must be allowed to absorb the energy of light. There was a sense of decadence in my heart. Looking at the strong dark atmosphere in the dark place, I can imagine the devastation of the bright baby here. Yunwoo sat on the boulder, stunned for a long time, and thought that it would not work. Then she closed her eyes and separated a wisp of life from the baby again. Sure enough, this little source of life was quickly absorbed by him. Cloud Dance can feel, this baby body immediately sent out a shallow warm energy. However, the power was so weak that she could hardly feel it, but she was very happy in her heart. She finally understood that although the child is very dangerous now, for the moment, she can continue the child's life in this way. Even so, it can't make him grow up. I'm afraid it's just keeping him alive. But after a long time, the child will be out of breath. Now, give him the source of life every day to ensure that the child can live before she leaves here safely. However, she is worried that if the child survives in such a small environment, it will not bring any bad effects. She gently stroked her stomach. Her skin was morbid pale because she had not been exposed to the sun for a long time. Her blood vessels were clearly visible. Yunwoo's eyes were full of worry. The fat baby in her stomach felt Yunwoo's touch and became active. Yunwoo frowned slightly. This feeling made her feel suffocated and painful. She lowered her head to meditate and frowned. Neither of the two children was willing to give up. Under such circumstances, she could only protect the weak child in this way. The child with dark constitution has almost absorbed the power of darkness at this time. Even if he leaves here, he can survive safely. It's just that if she doesn't leave here, not only his other child, I'm afraid she'll be dead soon. She was more and more angry about why the night would hide the situation of another child, and she was more and more alert to the night. She was thinking about leaving this place unconsciously. So she began to practice with her knees crossed, trying to enrich her weak body. She thought that even if she could recover some energy here, she could make some plans for the future escape. At the same time, he thought about the strategy of leaving in his mind. Unknowingly, after a circle of fighting spirit in the body, Yunwoo already felt the breath was smoother. She opened her eyes and vomited. Although her body is still very weak now, it is much stronger than a few days ago. The food in the stomach is basically digested. Although it's still nauseous, it can be overcome. This is a good start. Yunwoo sits for a rest, climbs down from the boulder, holds his stomach, and moves forward slowly in the dark. This place has never been moved since Yunwoo came in. She has never been anywhere to observe it except for the maid who brought food and washed it after she came. Walking along the darkness, the cloud dancing eyes finally adapted to the darkness here. She walked forward carefully, and saw that the place in the dark place was very open, and the boulder was only a small part of the dark place. Cloud Dance vomited a breath, the stomach heavy fall of her affliction. She had to hold a hand's stomach, continue to grope forward. Countless strange stones are standing nearby. Looking up, you can see that the top is also full of strange stones, and bats with red eyes are hanging upside down. But I don't know why they are all quiet, and they won't disperse because of the arrival of Cloud Dance. This surprised Yunwoo. After all, I haven't seen these bats for so long. After a long walk, Yunwoo was a little tired, so he had to sit down and have a rest. It turns out that the dark place is a very flat and wide cave, which is so big that the clouds can't imagine, and there is no place to avoid. This makes Yunwoo very uncomfortable. This cave is clearly a huge cell, which traps Yunwoo firmly in it. It seems that there is only one exit from the top to the underground, and there is no other way to go. Since the night brings me to this place, it means that he must be very clear about this place. Therefore, there must be someone guarding the very narrow passageway, and it doesn't need much. As long as one person guards, Cloud Dance can't get out. Yunwoo began to look for all the ways to get out, but after a long time, Yunwoo still didn't find out where to leave except the staircase leading to the middle of the mountain. The dark place is so terrible that the clouds can't see the place far away, so they pick up a stone from the ground and throw it in. The stone strikes the ground and makes a sound, and the echo reaches far away. Frowning, Yunwoo listens to the echo in front of him. He feels that there is still a long way to go. He thinks that maybe he can find a new way forward if he continues to walk, so Yunwoo steps forward again. The huge belly pressure Cloud Dance steps falter. After a while, Cloud Dance, already tired, panting, sweat, and picked up the stone to throw forward, heard that there is still a long distance ahead. Turning to look at the road when she came over, it was obvious that she had gone a long way. Her legs trembled with fatigue, and finally she could not hold on. Yunwoo sat on the ground and closed her eyes. This time, Yunwoo found that she really couldn't walk anymore. Vomit breath will relax the whole body. Sitting on the ground, the bat with red eyes on the head seems to be watching her covetously, let her a little palpitation. The cold in the cave is not as cold as the bone marrow on the boulder. The Cloud Dance even feels a little warm here, and the little life in the belly seems to have a feeling at this time, and the breath of life is a little stronger. After sleeping on the cave wall for a while, Yunwoo opens her eyes and still sees darkness. In the dark place, she can't tell the day from the dark. Yunwoo holds the wall, stands up and goes on. In this way has been walking, but still did not see the end of the road. Yunwoo feel a little disappointed, while slowly groping. Occasionally, there will be a bat with red eyes on the road, which pounces on her and is killed by her. The whole dark place is echoing. Yunwoo turned to look behind him, sighed, and continued to grope around to see if there was any place to leave. I don't know how long I've been walking, and I haven't walked so much for a long time. Stop to take a breath. Cloud Dance cross knee and sit, look at his stomach, but found that the belly of the child, and some of the depression. Obviously, it's been a long time since he was given the source of life last time, so Yunwoo separated a strand of the source of life and gave it to the baby, and the weak baby began to have a trace of vitality again. Seeing that the little baby is alive in his own stomach, Yunwoo has power again. After a long time of practicing and breathing, his face has gradually recovered, and he feels that his body has strength. Waiting for the child to get up again, Yunwoo stood up and continued to walk forward. She thought that maybe she had gone too far behind, so she just went on. So, slowly forward. Because of the activity, she didn't feel cold. She felt for the surrounding mountain wall and walked slowly. But it didn't come to an end. This is strange, Yunwoo thought. When she came in, she clearly felt that the dark place was not very big. However, when she came down, she found that it was much bigger than she thought. At least, I have been gone for a long time, but I still haven't come to the end. Suddenly, Yunwoo saw a huge stone standing not far away. Suddenly stunned, that piece of rock is not the one you cultivate on it. Cold sweat makes her frown, looking at the stone in front of her, silent for a long time, or that stone is another stone. If you walk in a straight line, you must be far away from this stone. Now, how can you appear behind you? He went to the stone in the middle and looked around. He found that it was the stone he was practicing on, and it didn't even differ in shape. He sighed dejectedly. Yunwoo slowly walked back to the edge of the boulder in the middle and sat down. He suddenly felt a sweat on his body. He was shivered by the cold air, and his teeth trembled. He leaned against the boulder and soaked his marrow with chills. Rubbing his hands, Yunwoo closed his eyes and tried to get in touch with the contract beast again, but failed. He sat back on the stone and continued to practice. Just sweating body, and began to form ice crystals, and then by Cloud Dance with fighting spirit transpiration away, she frowned, take care of her body and look at the two children. Yunwoo girl, have dinner. The maid came again. It was obvious that a day had passed. She opened her eyes and breathed. Yunwoo walked down the boulder again. Cloud Dance is still thinking, if you and Knight face-to-face confrontation, how much of their chances of winning? Although my body is very weak, I still have some ability. If I practice more frequently, maybe I will not be so vulnerable when I encounter Knight. Cloud Dance is still practicing every day, but it still doesn't give up looking for other exits. It's the last plan. Knight did not appear. From Cloud Dance into this place to now, Knight did not appear once, only sent the maid. Yunwoo was a little relieved, thinking that maybe Knight didn't care much about her own life. In this way, if she met other people, she still had a chance to beat them and leave here. After another day's rest, Yunwoo plucked up her courage and planned to go to the entrance. The torches at the entrance were extinguished one by one. It seemed that they would be lit only when night came. The maidservant also carried a small candlestick to light the road ahead. Yunwoo looked down at the steps at her feet and walked up step by step. There was no way to wave Guwu de Geo in this narrow place, so she found a sharp stone to hide behind her and walked up slowly. The higher you go, the warmer you feel. Yunwoo finally feels more comfortable. But when I slowly came to the entrance of the dark place, I saw two people outside, wearing black robes, standing quietly outside the door, a dead silence. Yunwoo was standing at the entrance. Before he planned to do anything, he saw the black-robed man in front of him suddenly put out his hand and stopped the entrance. At this time, the two black-robed people's whole body sent out the prestige, which made Yunwoo frown. The feeling of these two people is too strong. If we let Yunwoo fight against them in the same way as before, we can win. Yunwoo pursed her lips. Now in this situation, she can only be soft, not tough. So Yunwoo turned and went down. When I went back to the ground, I obviously felt that the fat baby was very active and continued to sit on the boulder. Every day after that, Yunwoo would deliberately draw out a wisp of the source of life and give it to the dying baby. After the baby regularly replenished the source of life, his body did not further deteriorate. Yunwoo was relieved and felt that her body was recovering day by day. At this time, Yunwoo had begun to prepare her escape plan. This night, she finally sacrificed her ancient sword and waved it up and down in her hand. She was weak and weak. She didn't pick up the sword as smoothly as before, but it would be okay if she fought. At least in Yunwoo's opinion, the realm of the two guards at the gate is certainly not as high as that of the knight. In the current situation, if they break through by force, they still have a good chance of winning. Yunwoo collected a lot of sharp stones in the dark place and polished them on a rough stone. She didn't have any short weapons on her body. She felt that she suffered some losses. He polished the weapon with difficulty. Yunwoo picked up the stone weapon like a dagger and waved it in his hand twice. He nodded with satisfaction. At least, it's much more convenient to use than the big weapon like Guwu dagger. He pinned the dagger behind his waist, and Yunwoo polished several small stones into small stone beads as weapons. Everything is ready. Yunwoo hides everything on her body and sits quietly on the boulder. She plans to have a rest and wait for her maidservant to leave. After a while, the maid came in from the outside with her food box. She looked a little flustered. She turned her head and looked behind her. Then she hesitated for a while. Then she said slowly, "Yunwoo girl, come to dinner." Yunwoo opened his eyes and said with a smile, "I trouble you so much every day." Cloud dance, long time no see. Behind the maid, a familiar voice suddenly came, "Let Cloud dance suddenly heart a tight, smile doin' show, night, how do you come?" Today's night, let Cloud dance suddenly feel, very strange. Although his appearance did not change, his evil smile did not change, but he sent out a dark gas. This dark air is about to soar up and wrap his whole body. Although he still smiles and talks with Yunwoo as before, Yunwoo always feels that there is inexplicable strangeness hidden in this person's smile. The appearance of the night makes Yunwoo feel full of crisis. Originally, she had made all preparations to leave here, but now she is disillusioned because of the appearance of the night. She is angry in her heart, but she hears the voice of Night joking, "I think you are in good health now. It seems that my servants take good care of you these days." The radiance of the corner of his mouth makes Yunwoo feel a little uncomfortable. His body instinctively dislikes and repels him, and even makes a defensive reaction unconsciously. His fighting spirit suddenly envelopes his whole body. The murderous gas emitted from Yunwoo's body is like a cat seeing a stranger. "What are you doing here, aren't you busy?" Cloud Dance squints her eyes and looks at the Night that seems very happy in front of her. Night walked forward 2 steps, a little closer to the cloud. Yunwoo took a step back and frowned more tightly. She suddenly escaped the stone dagger from her back waist and stabbed at Night's face. But in front of her, the night seemed a lot lighter. He turned his face, avoided Yunwoo's attack, stepped back, and stood 2 steps away from Yunwoo. Yunwoo, you are still the same as before. He waved his hands and said with a smile, don't panic. You're not good for the baby in your stomach. Yunwoo didn't speak, just quietly holding the dagger in his hand, watching him warily. After a pause in the night, he suddenly raised his hand and snatched the dagger from Yunwoo like lightning. The dagger made of stone is not very hard. At this time, he was caught by the night and fell to the ground. Cloud Dance, how can you start when you don't agree with each other? You are too grumpy. It's not good for the growth of children. You'd better change your temper. Night raises hand to pull Cloud Dance's hand, to push back. The cloud danced and fell beside the huge stone. Night lunged forward, squat down, looking at the Cloud Dance, good-looking face is joking smile. Cloud Dance, you have to eat well, practice well, absorb more dark energy, so that children can grow up healthily. Seeing that Yunwoo was very cautious and exclusive, the knight couldn't help laughing and sighed helplessly, you don't have to care. This kind of exclusion is very normal, because I belong to the dark faction like Long Qingxie. You are a member of the bright race. You will definitely reject the people of the dark faction. For this, Cloud Dance heart is very disdain, heart also just listened to it, now still can't and night confrontation, so, at this time can only choose to silence down. But the funny thing is that she has never been repelled by the evil breath of the dragon, so it must be something wrong with the night. Yunwoo lowered his head and pondered for a moment. He sat up silently and leaned against the boulder. Finally, he raised his head and said to the night, it's not that I'm grumpy, but because this place is too depressing. I want to leave the dark place. The child in his stomach is going to die soon, Yunwoo thought, but now he can only pretend he doesn't know, I can't stand it. If it goes on like this, I may go crazy. Don't forget, I'm from the light faction. Of course, I'm very exclusive of dark energy. So say, Cloud Dance's eyes have no a little expression, but in the heart is secretly thinking about how can Night to persuade. Night sighed, turned to take the maid's food box, took out the water and food, put it on the ground, cross-legged and sat down, indicating that Yunwoo also sat down. Yunwoo, you can rest assured, I will take care of you, there are still 3 days, your child will be born, so now, you'd better calm down and spend the last 3 days. 3 days? 3 days to go before the baby is born? The birth of this baby probably means that the child with bright constitution will not be able to continue to absorb his own nutrients, so it means that his other child will die. She secretly clenched her teeth and was very angry. She would never allow the child to die in her stomach for a long time. He has to survive. Yunwoo clenched her fist and narrowed her eyes slightly. Moreover, this night must be a plot for her child, otherwise she would not take care of herself for no reason. He turned his head and looked at the maid, but she lowered her head and said nothing. Anyway, hold him steady first. Cloud Dance thinks so in the heart, but lowers the head to smile, sighed, well, then I listen to you, wait a little longer, maybe really like what you said. After listening to Yunwoo's words, he finally laughed and gave Yunwoo the food on his plate, eat more. Cloud Dance nods and smiles, silently eating, but gradually cold eyes, this place, said nothing can stay. Within 2 days, you must let yourself leave here, otherwise, the other child's life will be lost. However, the most important thing now is where Long Qingxie is and whether he has anything to do with it. Yunwoo thinks to herself. She touches her stomach and continues to eat. And the maid saw that Yunwoo was eating incense, so she rushed forward and pushed all the dishes in front of her. After seeing off Yi and her maid, Yunwoo sits back on the boulder and closes her eyes. She decided to postpone this action until tomorrow. Because she has proposed to go out today, she will be more defensive tonight. Therefore, it is not appropriate to scare the snake now. So just dive down and try to get the best out of yourself. Sitting on the boulder and closing her eyes, she gave the baby a ray of life, and continued to regulate her breath carefully. Finally, she felt more physical. Yunwoo thought that the 3rd day the child would be born. She opened her eyes and checked her weapons. Then she got up and went to the door. In the dark place, Yunwoo moves forward cautiously. In her present state, she must be very careful to leave here. If there is a little disturbance to the two guards at the door, there is probably no possibility to continue. Yunwoo went to the narrow staircase, looked up and sipped his mouth. Then he held the dagger in his hand and climbed the steps step by step. On the steps, Yunwoo found that there was no guard in front of him, and he didn't understand what was going on. But Yunwoo was relieved and touched his stomach. Yunwoo quietly went out from the entrance. At the door, a warm wind made the cloud dance comfortable. I couldn't help taking a breath and walking forward. However, a black figure suddenly appeared in front of him, blocking the way of Cloud Dance. Cloud Dance, where are you going? Knight smiled, as if in a good mood. Is it difficult to be hungry today? Can't wait for my people to give you food. Going out to find food? Yunwoo's eyes are cold, and he looks at the knight without blinking, but the knight seems not to see it. The nameless anger in his heart rushes straight to the top of his head. Yunwoo feels that he may be able to pinch the neck of the knight in the next second. This man really makes people gnash their teeth. He clearly has been tracking himself and monitoring himself. He says that he has no time to see, but in fact he has been observing in the dark for a long time. In the heart is agitated, Cloud Dance raises head, looking at Knight, the tone is cold. What purpose do you have after all? Helpless smile, Knight touched his nose, as if very innocent looking at the cloud, said, how can I have any purpose? I just care about you, this friend. Now your body is so weak, you do not cultivate well, but also from the run out, not good for you, not good for children. With these words, it feels like a husband who has a relationship with his wife. But Cloud Dance sounds a little changed. I'm afraid you want my child. Yunwoo is thinking about it in his heart. If it's not good to talk about it next, he'll have a hard time with him. He's a little nervous. After all, he's carrying 3 lives. But if this continues, who knows what the knight will do? How can you say that to me? You see, I send people to send you food and water, change your clothes and ask your servants about your health every day. How can I do it for anything? It would hurt my heart too much. The voice seems to be with helpless and innocent, but how can Yunwoo believe him? Cloud Dance lowered his head, tone became firm, I have to leave here. Then he turned and walked forward. Unexpectedly, the knight behind him suddenly grasped Yunwoo's wrist, so powerful that Yunwoo couldn't break away. He turned his head and glared at the knight, but saw the knight laughing happily. Yunwoo, it's very dangerous for you to go out alone. 2 days later, I don't care where you want to go. I know that you are very urgent to find Long Qingxie, but since I have called you, I have to be responsible for you in the end. Cloud Dance eyes a cold, will fight over the palm of the hand, hard to beat to the knight. I didn't expect that knight would raise her hand to dissolve Yunwoo's attack, but that hand was still holding Yunwoo's arm. How on earth can you let me go? The cloud dances in a cold voice. Yunwoo, don't forget that I'm the one who gave you the strength of earth. Are you really so ungrateful? The voice of the knight suddenly increased, obviously a little angry. The power of earth? Yeah, if it wasn't for that, he could call himself a friend and get close to them. But I don't believe you. Yunwoo shakes off the hand of Knight. Unexpectedly, the knight suddenly came to the front of Yunwoo, stopped Yunwoo, so fast that Yunwoo didn't come back, and the knight was smiling. But Cloud Dance always feels that the smile of the knight is full of threats. The scene suddenly fell into a stalemate, as if the battle between the two was imminent. In the upper boundary, near the border, Xiao Chou is sitting in a tea house temporarily to have a rest. Oh, my guest, what can I do for you? The shopkeepers saw Meng Bai coming straight to the door of the shop with sharp eyes, and quickly welcomed him with a smile. Meng Bai doesn't pay attention to it. He sweeps around the small shop, and finally points to the little stink. The little stink quickly greets him. All ready? Little stink made a ready-to-serve gesture to the waiter, and asked Meng Bai after the waiter left. Well, it's all ready. Meng Bai said, we are going to the most shady place. This is the last stop where there are still people. After we leave here, there is a deserted place. We need to prepare a lot of things. Fortunately, there is a grocery market not far away, and we have collected all the things. Mengbai said. The shop boy just came up with the food and put the little stinky things on the table. Small Stink is not stingy, and rewards some money. Shop boy immediately left with a smile. They stopped talking until they had eaten all the things on the table, and then they put down their chopsticks one after another. I don't know what happened to them, whether they found anything. Mengbai suddenly said such a sentence. Small Stink is drinking soup hand meal, then tilted his head to think, said, I think they must have been to the place, at least Chi night they should have arrived. The map of the upper bound is irregular. We go a lot farther than them, and the position of the transmission array is closer to them. In a word, we will be able to see them when we go back. Mengbai nodded and said, that's right. We have to speed up again. If we delay one more day, the little dance will be dangerous. Small Stinky eyes flashed a serious, nodded, and then put down the bowl. Just as they were about to leave, they suddenly saw a team of officers and soldiers come in. As soon as they came in, they yelled at the door, don't move. All sit down. Is the shopkeeper in? Come out. Mengbai's palm moved, and he pressed the little smelly hand directly. What's the matter? Xiao Smelly looked at him suspiciously. They don't care about this kind of thing. First of all, these officers and soldiers can't beat him. As long as they report their identities, don't they have to be obedient? Are you afraid of them? Little Smelly looked puzzled and saw Mengbai's finger. He pointed to a pile of portraits in the hands of the officers and soldiers at the head. What was revealed was that he could see a pair of eyes painted vividly. Just one. I could clearly see that the person in the portrait was cloud dancing. Small Stink instantly calmed down, two people honestly sitting in their own position, looking at the group of officers. Fortunately, they were sitting in a remote place, and the officers and soldiers just stood at the door, so they didn't recognize them. Just now, in the busy tavern, it became quiet and looked at each other one by one. I didn't understand what had happened in this small place, which had never been a big deal. So many officers and soldiers could go out together. Soon, the shopkeeper got the news and immediately came out from behind. When he saw the people coming, he was busy to meet them. Maybe the officers and soldiers usually had some prestige, and the shopkeeper's face was respectful. I don't know if you have any orders when you come to the shop. The shopkeeper asked with a smile. The officer and soldier were not polite either. With a shake of his hand, a pile of portraits immediately unfolded and said, have you ever seen this woman? The shopkeeper looked up and was amazed by the man in the picture. In a flash, he felt familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen it. This I look familiar, but I can't remember. At this time, a man behind the soldiers said, brother, you forget, this is the famous Miss Yunwu. You can't ask like this. Ah! Miss Cloud Dance. The shopkeeper heard a scream. I said how familiar it is. That's right. It's Miss Yunwu who took us to kill the Beast Gate. What? Miss Cloud Dance. As soon as the shopkeeper's voice fell, other people in the tavern were boiling. Although not everyone has seen the appearance of Yunwu, don't forget that Yunwu has made great contributions to the attack on the Beast Gate. Just listening to the name, you will feel like a thunderbolt. If you can see one side of Yunwu, you will be afraid to show off for a lifetime. Are you looking for Miss Yunwu? Is Miss Yunwu here again? Oh, my God, Miss Yunwu, if only I could meet you. Xiao Smelly and Shengguan look at each other. They don't know what's going on. Unexpectedly, Cloud Dance has such a great influence on the people. Even such a remote corner of the upper world worships her so fiercely. The two looked at each other and decided to keep quiet for the time being. If these people knew that they were also one of the generals who killed the Beast Gate, they would be surrounded by fans. Have you seen her? The officers and soldiers frowned and asked the shopkeeper. See you? The shopkeeper's embarrassed smile, it's a joke. Miss Yunwu is a person in the human world. She left after hearing about the war. How could a little person like us have met her? But everyone knows her appearance. Even if she hasn't seen it with her own eyes, I've seen a lot of portraits. I'm sure she'll be familiar. The first officer and soldier was reminded by his subordinates and shopkeeper's words, and then realized that he had asked a stupid question. Forget it, forget it. The leader waved his hand, then raised his voice and said to the people in the tavern, everyone listen to me. Miss Yunwu led us to destroy the Beast Gate. She was very kind to us. Without her, we would still live under the oppression of the Beast Gate. So, you said, if Miss Cloud Dance has something to do, should we help? Help. You have to help, said someone in the tavern at once. What's the matter? Do we need to unite? If so, I'll be the first to sign up. He who dares to trouble Miss Yunwu will trouble us. A strong man of 5 big 3 rough said, a face of justice awe-inspiring. Yes. Miss Yunwu has protected us, so we should protect her when she is in danger. The reaction of the masses obviously satisfied the officers and soldiers. Then the leader raised his hand and suppressed the sound of the scene. Then he said, well, since you all think so, let me hear it clearly. We all know what happened to Miss Yunwu the day before her wedding, so we should know that Miss Yunwu is still in a coma. But now things have changed again. New changes. Little Stink and Mengbai are trembling in their hearts. When they leave Yunwu, there is nothing wrong with them. Now they say that there is a new change. 2 people's hearts suddenly nervous, but count up they left just soon, even if it is to happen, there should not be too much change. And according to the words of Night, Cloud Dance should not be affected now, so it can't be consumed by extreme speed. What is it? Then he heard the official continue to say, not long ago, a mysterious man appeared and gave away to rescue Miss Yunwu, but unexpectedly, this man was a wolf. He tried to get rid of the experts around Miss Yunwu. Under the condition that the Cloud family trusted him so much, he took away Miss Yunwu impressively. What? Bang, a loud noise, abruptly will hear the news. Shocked people wake up from the shock. Everyone turned around one after another, only to see that Xiao Smelly was covered in the golden light, and his temperament was extremely sacred. However, his face was gloomy and frightening, and all the people present were scared. It's really strange. Who is this man? Suddenly, what's the matter? My God, what a strong breath. Mengbai was also very angry, but he restrained himself rationally. He quickly came forward and pressed Xiao Chou down, patted him on the shoulder and said seriously, don't worry, now you're angry. We don't know who abducted Xiao Wu, and we don't know how she is now. Small Stink body up and down wrapped with golden light, finally in Mengbai's kind persuasion, gradually subsided. Mengbai smiles and apologizes to the people around him one by one. Then he sits down and says, what can we do now, or we'll go back to Yunfu directly. But little Stinky sat there quietly with a cold face and thought for a long time, then suddenly said, no, since we are all here, it's a pity to go back now. If there is a way to kill the child and let Yunwu wake up, we must have a try. But what if that night is false? Mengbai frowned and fell into meditation. That place is not far away from us. Little Stink looked around. After the inn went out, less than 200 miles ahead, there was a barren swamp and grassland. In front of it, there was a gray and black landscape, full of smoke and lifeless. I think if we don't spell it, how can we know whether what you said is true or not? Little Smelly took the weapon in his hand, and his face was gloomy and terrible. Finally out of the inn, check what is still missing, and fully equipped, the two continue to move towards the desolate continental margin. The more people walk to the edge, the more rare they are. Occasionally, 1 or 2 people come back from the edge of the mainland with a basket on their back. When they see Mengbai, they are very strange. I say, you too, how can you go this way? Xiao Smelly and Mengbai looked at each other. Mengbai came forward and said, we are going to the edge of the mainland. Is it true that brothers also come from there? I saw the man's face changed, frowned, looked up and down for a while, and suddenly said, now there are still people who dare to go to that place, don't you know that there is almost no return? Mengbai two people did not answer, continue to move forward without saying a word. Until in the end, there was no shadow of the birds. The air around them was oppressive, the water vapor on the ground was steaming up, and the gray fog in the sky was pouring down. They walked between the heaven and the earth, and could not even hear their own echo. Gradually, the grassland faded, ice and snow cover, gradually, into a white snow, cold endless snow, let two people shiver, spit cold. Do you think we can really find that treasure? Little Smelly was worried and suddenly began to hesitate. Mengbai patted him on the shoulder with a smile and said, "Just now you were still trying to persuade me to relax. Now it's your turn to worry." Looking up at the endless gray snow, he turned to the little Stink and said, "Anyway, we've all come here. Let's go on." Little Stinky sighed and held the weapon tightly in his hand. They pondered for a moment and marched to the depth of the snow. Mengbai was a little dispirited. He found a place where there was no snow and sat on it. He sighed, "Where is the highest mountain? Do you think it's just an excuse for night to take away the clouds? The more you listen, the worse you look." Gradually, the dark fog on the dark snow plains suddenly became thick, and the fog slowly pressed on their heads. Mengbai feels that it is more and more difficult to breathe. He gasps and turns to look at the little Stink around him, but he sees that the little Stink's face is also very ugly. Is there really something around here? Xiaxieka and Mengbai look at each other. Two people continue to walk forward, to the end, everything in front of has been blurred, the last two people seem to be in the clouds. Mengbai, you'd better follow me closely. I feel that we may lose our way next, or even can't see each other as soon as we separate a little bit. Little Stink said seriously. Mengbai also felt it and nodded seriously. Suddenly, a strange shadow flashed in front of them, but in the thick fog, they couldn't see what it was, but there were few people here. At this time, a shadow suddenly appeared, which is not surprising. "Let's see who this man is," Mengbai whispered, patting Xiao Stinky on the shoulder. Small Stink also and Mengbai together, two people back to back, carefully forward. But all of a sudden, a shadow flashed in front of Xiaoqiu, which made Xiaoqiu feel tight and said in a low voice, "Mengbai, I also see a shadow." This, Mengbai two people's hearts began to worry, in this place, either want to put people to death, or, I'm afraid, is not a person. Sure enough, after a while, two shadows flashed by. But these shadows were only in the thick fog, but they didn't mean to attack. They made them confused. They walked forward carefully and found that the more they went forward, the more shadows they had. Until in front of the fog, suddenly appeared a huge shadow, suddenly let two people lying there. The cold wind changed their faces, but they almost screamed out and ran over. In the cold wind, the tall peaks are covered with white snow, and you can't see the end at a glance. My God, it seems that we have found the right one. Small Stink suddenly laughed, a scream, suddenly turned into a huge phoenix, turned to look at Mengbai. Mengbai also understand, jump on the body of Small Stink, two people leap up. On the top of the highest mountain, the place was so narrow that it was only enough for two people to stay at night. At a glance, they saw that what they wanted was on the ground. Mengbai was surprised and jumped down and rushed up. But unexpectedly, a shadow suddenly appeared in front of them and attacked them without saying a word. All of a sudden, two people in the top of the mountain and they get together, two soul body, no consciousness, just out of instinct to protect the treasure. The two souls are very powerful. They fight with each other for a long time, but they don't retreat. This makes Mengbai and Xiaoqiu very anxious. Suddenly, in the wind and snow behind him, an old man came out. He just raised his hand and waved away the two soul bodies in front of him. Mengbai was very happy. He rushed forward and said to the old man, "Thank you very much, great Xia." The old man didn't speak, but his eyes were clear. He looked them up and down, and suddenly said, "I'll give you this treasure." They were very surprised. No matter what the old man said was true or not, they quickly picked up the treasure and prepared to go back to Yunfu. But he was stopped by the old man and said, "I'm going to go with you, too." Mengbai thought for a long time, but they were all puzzled. But because the old man was kind to them, they agreed. So Xiao Chou turned into a phoenix, carrying them without stopping, and immediately flew to Yunfu. Just after arriving at the gate of Yunfu, Yunqi has already got the news. He specially guards at the gate. Seeing that they are back, he hastens to meet them. General Yun, we've brought things back. Mengbai comes forward, takes out the treasure and hands it to Yunqi. Then he frowned and said to Yunqi, this old man, even the one who gave us the treasure, will come back with us. Yunqi looks at the old man behind Mengbai, only to find that he is also a soul. At that moment, Yunqi understood that this man was the same as the first two elders, so he immediately turned to the person behind him and said, come on, give this elder a room. Yes, the guard took the order and went to prepare immediately. Yunqi came up to the old man and said, you are welcome. The day before yesterday, two masters have just arrived in the mansion. They may know each other. The old man nodded, said, I know, out of such a thing, they cannot ignore, go, walk and say. Yunqi nodded and immediately welcomed the old man in. How do you address me? Yunqi asks. With a smile, the old man said, our brothers are 4 people. As for their names and taboos, no one has called them for many years. In the past, it became known as, the old man. Later, it was divided into 4 directions, southeast, northwest of the upper boundary. I was in the west on hearing this, Yunqi immediately understood what he meant and said, Master Shi. The old man laughed and said, I heard that something happened to your daughter. I'm afraid it's not a trivial matter. Maybe it has something to do with the purpose of our existence. So I've come here specially to have a look. Just feel free and don't be polite. In other words, we are still bothering. Where does Yunqi dare to go on? But he also saw that the old man didn't like etiquette, so he quickly said, it's better to do something. To be honest, the government has been trying to find it, but there has been no whereabouts. Now, when we meet the elders, we see a glimmer of hope in a word, there should be another elder on the way. I'll send someone to meet you later. Ha ha ha, at last, I'm afraid it's my 3rd brother. He has the most eccentric temperament. You should do well and don't annoy him. With that, the old man went to the depth of Yunfu with a smile. Look at the direction he's going, it's the direction where the first 2 elders live. Yunqi was shocked. He didn't expect that they felt like they had a connection with each other. In order not to expose themselves, the 2 old men had converged their breath very well, but the western old man found their direction easily. Surprised, Yunqi reminds herself to send someone to pick up the last old man later. Soon, without the guidance of Yunqi, the western elder directly found the top 2 positions. The 2 men were sitting in the yard playing chess. When they saw the western elder coming, they just said hello and went on. The western elders were not worried. First they asked about their room, and then they asked Yunqi about these days. Seeing that the 2 elders didn't mean it was over, they shook their heads helplessly. Take me around here, maybe you can find something, said the old man. Just as Yunqi wanted to agree, the voice of the old man from the north came over. There's no need to go. We don't know how many times we've looked around here. We haven't found anything. Except for the place where things happened at the door that day, there's still a little smell left. There's no smell at all. It's no use going there. The old man from the west picked his eyebrows and saw that the old man from the north was about to lose. He was worried and couldn't help laughing. He went to watch the game quietly. In Yunqi's heart, is he leading the way or leaving quietly? Are you just watching? Now the Cloud family is in charge of the overall situation. If he is here all the time, he doesn't know what happened outside. But if he is not here, it will inevitably neglect these distinguished guests. Finally, the old man turned his head and asked, who is your grandson-in-law? Yunqi is stunned. What son-in-law? Isn't that dragon's evil? Just as he was about to speak, the Western elder said again, I'm not asking about his identity, but about his strength, moves, and fighting spirit besides his superficial identity. Do you know? As soon as the words came out, Yunqi frowned. Strange to say, if he asked about the identity of the dragon, he would be able to answer a question or two, and he probably knew his strength, but he didn't understand the moves and the fighting spirit he used. Moreover, if you remember correctly, the power of the dragon seems to be different from others, and it's black, but how can anyone's fighting spirit be black? Yunqi thought for a long time and didn't know how to answer, but if he didn't even know his grandson-in-law, it would be a shame. It seems that the old man in the west saw his tangle and silently asked the evil dragon in his heart. Then he said, "It's okay, you just need to say what you see on the surface, and we will infer the rest by ourselves. You don't have to worry. I just want to speculate about who will take him away. Maybe you can find those who will take her. It's not impossible to follow suit at that time." Yunqi nodded, thinking that it was no secret about the dragon's betrayal of evil, and said it to the old Westerner. With his words, the old Westerner's brows slowly wrinkled when Lan Yu, Hong Ling and Bai Shuer had just stepped out of the teleportation array. The soldiers of the Cloud family who had been waiting for the teleportation array for a long time immediately welcomed them. 3. You are back at last. The soldier said that when he saw the three people appear, he even looked behind them as if they were looking at someone. Hong Ling couldn't bear it for a long time. She stepped forward and held the soldier's shoulder and asked, "I ask you, is the rumor true?" The soldier's shoulder was pinched, but when he heard Hong Ling's question, his eyes flashed a touch of indignation. "It's true, miss. It's really gone." Blue you three people almost stand not steady, from the beginning they follow Cloud dance side, until now, never like now so flustered. In the past, no matter what happened to Yunwu, even if it was seriously injured, at least they could feel it. As long as they could feel it, they would not feel flustered. They might die together, or they could know what happened to Yunwu's body. But now, starting from the coma of Yunwu, they lost contact with Yunwu. They could not even feel that their master was pregnant with a little master in his body. They could not return to their own space. They had to stay outside. Day by day, it was clear that Yunwu was extremely dangerous, but they didn't feel anything. 3 people over and over again to see if their contract is still, the answer is yes, but why on earth? How can there be no contact? Did the host go to a place they had never heard of? 3. Are you the only one back? The soldiers of the Cloud family army stretched out their heads and looked behind them for a long time, but they didn't see anything, so they couldn't help asking. The 3 looked at each other, and Lan Yu asked, "What do you mean? Are you?" The soldier then replied, "When the previous generals came back, they all brought a soul body back. It is said that there were 4 of them, and the last one should have followed 3 of them. That's why they let me guard here, but I didn't see it." Voice just fell, an old but full of rebellious voice came out. "Well, those 3 old guys came here with such enthusiasm this time." With this voice, a soul body does not know where to come from. It is a white-haired old man again. As soon as the soldier's eyes brightened, he immediately said respectfully, "I think this is the old man from the south. The master and the other 3 old men have been waiting in the Cloud family for a long time, and ordered me to come specially to meet them." As soon as these words came out, the 3 of them understood. It seems that the 4 things they took separately had their own guardians, and they were not guardians at all. It's just that I didn't expect that these guardians knew each other, and their strength was unexpectedly high. It's just that they don't understand why they know that. What's more, he just wanted to take Yunwu away. But if it's just to take away Yunwu, why should it take so much trouble? The more they think about it, the more they don't understand. At this moment, how they hope Yunwu can answer these questions for them, but it's obviously impossible. Well, those 3 old guys still remember some friendship. The old man in the south snorted and said, "In that case, why don't you lead the way soon? Hurry up. Laozi's time is precious." "Yes." Have the officers and men of Yun family army ever been instructed by outsiders? But before he came, Gao Yu directly ordered him not to neglect any of the 4 elders. That's why he was so willing to be obedient. A group of 5 people rushed to the Cloud's home quickly. The old man in the south thought that their speed was too slow, so he simply moved his own moves and took 4 people on the road quickly. It's such a long way. It's only half a fragrant time to get to the gate of the Cloud family. Lan Yu 3 people have long been surprised, but the soldiers of the Cloud family army have long been stunned. Has he ever seen such ability? Originally thought that the strength of Cloud Dance is already very high, at least few people have been able to beat her before, but now in front of the old man found that the strength of the old man is more unfathomable. Such a long distance can be reached in an instant. What kind of strength should it be? Only Lan Yu carefully observed that the old man actually used something mysterious similar to magic weapon. Even the familiar Hongling and Bai Shuer didn't find it. As soon as I got to the door of Yun's house, I saw that when I left, the door was still heavily guarded. There were clear teams on both sides of the door, standing neatly with weapons. As soon as the figure of the 5 appeared, the soldiers first made a well-trained defensive posture, and then when they saw the comer clearly, someone immediately went in to report, and the others quietly restored their previous standing posture. Yes, I know how to respect my elders. The old man touched his beard and said with a smile. All the way, they all know that the old people in the south are informal, careless and arrogant. Sometimes they like to be respected, but they hate flattery. Soon, a neat sound of footsteps rang out in the depth of Yun's home. It was Yun Qi who came out with a group of generals. It's lucky that the old people from the south have come all the way. Please don't give up and come in quickly. As he said this, Yun Qi immediately led the man in. The old people in the south hate empty ceremony the most. At this time, they ran straight inside for fear that Yun Qi would talk a lot of nonsense, but they didn't say a word. Behind him, the Blue U3 quickly follow. What about the 3 old men? Why don't you come out to meet me? Anyway, I'm an old friend. How can I be so impolite? The old man in the south blew his beard and glared. He looked like an old urchin. There was a cold sweat on Yunqi's forehead. The characters of the 4 old men are very strange, but now they seem to be the only one who can find Yunwu. The hope of the Cloud family is in their heart, so no one dares to neglect them. What are you talking about? And speak ill of us behind our backs, don't you? It's an old voice again. It's full of Zhongqi. Looking at the source of the sound, they saw 3 souls sitting in the pavilion, looking at this side in their spare time. You always speak ill of us behind our backs, and you want us to go out to meet you? No way, the Oriental old man said with a smile. What's more, this is the Cloud family, not our territory. We are all guests like you. How can we let the guests meet the guests? The 3 old people, you say a word, I say a word, look between each other and years of old friends in general. Excuse. The old man in the south snorted, walked over and sat down in an empty seat. Then he waved his hand behind him and said, Okay, what should you do? I want to talk to my brothers now. No one is allowed to disturb me. As soon as the words came out, although people were very curious about what they wanted to say, they were still forced by their identity and did not ask. Naturally, Yun Qi is also very curious. Although he is old, he is still the owner of the Yun family. These 3 people have been dead for a long time, leaving only one soul body. If you really want to count up, no matter what age these 4 soul bodies are, they are enough to be his ancestors. Therefore, Yunqi can only be regarded as a junior in front of them. Now that the 4 of them have already spoken, Yunqi and his family can't wait here any longer, so they directly demobilize all the people around them and leave this place to the 4 of them together. As soon as they left, the 4 immediately let go. The old man in the south said in a hurry, How many days have you been here? What have you found? The other 3 people's faces immediately sank down and said, Originally we were thinking about making a fuss. There was no trace of the smell of the demons in the Cloud family, but I felt a little different in the place where they said it happened. It's a pity that it's been too long and I can't feel it clearly. Maybe I made a mistake. Wrong? The old man in the south was stunned, and then he looked serious. Boss, you have to be sure, this kind of thing is not careless. The Oriental old man said with a bitter smile, Of course, I know it's very careless, but it's been more than half a year, and it's just a little time. What do you want me to do? The old man in the south snorted and said, Come on, I see, it's you who have been guarding the baby for a long time, and you haven't fought for such a long time, so your strength has declined, right? Don't you believe it, let's have a fight. The old man glanced at him and said, Do you want to fight? If you want to find someone, don't push me. With that, he stopped talking to him. The old men in the West are very angry. They used to like to fight with each other when they were alive. Now we haven't seen each other for a long time. As a militant, apart from caring about the demons, it's natural to fight. Well, third, stop it. The old man in the north looked very kind. He seemed to be the most reliable one among the four races. As soon as he opened his mouth, the old man immediately shut up. Well, I didn't expect that after so many years, they were still allowed to come out. The old man sighed and said, I just don't know if there will be anyone in the three realms who can hold them in such a war. As soon as the words came out, the four fell into silence one after another. They were the few people who survived the battle. In fact, they only survived a soul. After the war, they were divided into four directions, southeast, northwest of the upper border, guarding their own things and preventing them from repeating mistakes at any time. Over the years, there has been no major event, no matter in the human world or in the upper world, even if something like the Beast Gate happened, they did not intervene. But now, they have to do it. I already know all about the Cloud family. If it's not unexpected, it's those forces that Miss Yun met that day to take her husband away, but I can't figure out why they would suddenly attack a human who hasn't moved for many days, said the old man of the north. The Oriental old man said, I have a look. The young lady of the Cloud family is not an ordinary person. Her destined lover is Nanganji of the Nangong family, so although I haven't met her, I have met Nanganji. After all, the girl of the Cloud family is not immortal. Now she has been taken away. I'm afraid that the one who took him away is our target. No way. The Western elder retorted immediately, haven't you heard of it? The way given to them by the man who took him away is to let these people look for treasure. If he is really one of those people and it's too late to avoid us, how can he bump into us directly? What the Western elders said is very reasonable. For a moment, others are not sure. It doesn't make sense. Since he knows the existence of these four treasures, he must also know our existence. It must be a demon. But if he is really a demon, why should he disturb us? The four looked at each other, and no one could tell why. The most urgent thing is to find Miss Yun. As long as you find her, you will know everything. The southern elder said seriously, besides, she still has children in her stomach. Although they didn't say it, I suspect that the girl's coma may have something to do with her child. Otherwise, she shouldn't have been in a coma for so long due to multiple injuries. I'm afraid that child. The old Westerner didn't go on talking about the following words, but all the people on the scene understood it, and all of them were shocked and nodded seriously. Let's go and tell the people of the Cloud family now that we want to help them find the girl. Then the old man stood up. Several people looked at each other and followed each other. Outside, although Yunqi has been dealing with the affairs of the Cloud family, her mind is always on the four old people. The four old people have extraordinary skills. Yunqi is afraid that they won't want to, and then she will become confused again. Upset, in the face of a table to deal with things, Yunqi stands up and paces back and forth in the room. Master. The four old men asked to see you outside the door. A sound of announcement came, which sounded like the sound of nature to Yunqi. See you? Are you confused? Why don't you invite people in as soon as possible? Yunqi said anxiously, for fear of neglecting the four elders. Before finishing a word, the whole person went directly to the door. At the door, four old people are standing at the door, smiling and waiting for him. Surprised, Yunqi quickly welcomes the man in. Don't be so formal. The old man in the west said with a smile, let's all go down first. There are some things we want to talk about with you alone. Yunqi nodded, and then immediately let all the people around him retreat, and the study was quiet. In the face of these 4 strong men, Yunqi doesn't feel any pressure. What do you want from the 4 elders? The 4 elders looked at each other, but the southern elders were the most impatient. They said, "Listen, old man, we are going to help you." As soon as the words came out, Yunqi was stunned. It took a long time for him to understand what he meant by being willing to help him. Then he was surprised. He was even called old man, without any dissatisfaction. "Would you like to help me find my granddaughter?" The western elder raised his hand, stopped the southern elder who still wanted to speak, and said with a smile, "My third brother is a bit reckless, please don't blame him." "That's right. For some reasons, it's not easy. It's just that we can't let you know now. After discussion, we decided to help, but we need a few more things." The surprised Yunqi just had calmed down. The night before, he suddenly appeared to help them, but he took Yunwu away. These old people also suddenly appeared, saying that they wanted to help them, but they were not willing to say their purpose. For a moment, Yunqi is a little uncertain. He just falls for it once. If he falls for it again, he doesn't know what will happen. It seems that the old man in the west saw Yunqi's mind, so he said, "You don't have to worry too much. What I need is just to find what people need. It's not rare, and it won't take away the experts here. And the reason we are willing to help is not for you, just to explore some potential dangers. We can guarantee that we can bring your granddaughter back safely, okay?" After hearing this, Yunqi finally nodded and said, "Okay, what do you need?" "As long as I can find it, I will try my best to find it." "Ha ha." The old man in the west laughed, "Don't be so troublesome. It's just some small things. I need 4 things. The first one is the personal goods of the girl of the Cloud family." "Isn't that hard?" Yunqi was stunned. He didn't expect it to be so simple. The Cloud family is also the home of Cloud dance. It's very convenient to find some personal things. This is very simple. What about the other 3? The second is a drop of blood from the relatives of your Cloud family and that girl who have direct blood relationship. This is not difficult, let alone a drop of blood, even if it takes my life, I have no objection. Yunqi said seriously. "No, the blood I want is directly related to that girl, such as her mother." The Western old man said, "We need to do something to find her. Naturally, the closer these things are, the greater the hope will be. There is a generation between you and her, so the effect will have an impact." This. Yunqi frowned and said, "To be honest, Xiaowu's mother disappeared after she was born. I really can't get her blood." The 4 elders didn't expect that there was such a thing. They all doubted the identity of Lianyan dance. Their eyes crossed each other, and they all saw a guess in each other's eyes. Is it hard to be even this girl's identity? "Well, without her mother's blood, so can her father's," said the old man. Yunqi nodded and said, "Her father is out looking for her whereabouts, and there is no result until now. I'll send someone to tell him and let him come back as soon as possible. The third thing, we need the blood of her 3 contract animals. Each contract animal only needs to give a drop of blood." After thinking about it, Yunqi felt that there was no problem. The Western elder continued to talk about it. "The 4th thing. The 4th thing is for me." The Southern elder stood up directly, "I want a personal thing for her husband." "The dragon is evil?" Yunqi said in surprise. The old man frowned, "Why do you want him?" The old man in the south naturally said, "It's enough for you 3 to look for that girl. I'm very interested in her husband. What kind of person can be taken away directly, just like disappearing in the world? I want something close to him. Maybe I can bring him back with me." The other elders shook their heads helplessly. The 4 of them had their own abilities and ways to find people, so they needed 4 things closest to each other. However, they didn't expect that the Southern elder wanted to find the dragon. But if you think about it, it's possible. "Master, this." Cloud Chi frowned and said. "Just listen to him. The fourth thing is her husband's personal belongings. The old man said, maybe you can find your grandson-in-law together. As soon as Yunqi's eyes brightened, he quickly said, if that's true, I'll write more about my predecessors. Ha ha. The old man touched his beard and said, go down and make arrangements. We will send those things to us as soon as possible in the next 2 days. We will start as soon as possible. Good. Cloud Chi says, excited go down to issue an order to go. Yunqi's speed is very fast. That afternoon, he collected 3 kinds of things. The next day, when he received the news, Yunlingyi came back immediately. Originally in the human world, he naturally came back soon. As soon as he came back, he was pulled by Yunqi to bleed. After collecting the 4 things, Yunqi directly sent them to the 4 elders. 4 things, 4 old people took 1. I didn't expect the speed to be so fast. In that case, we will start immediately today. The old man in the south said with the dragon's evil things. How many of you are going to leave? Cloud Cold Leng once said. Originally, I thought that they would find their whereabouts in the same way as Nangong family, but now it seems that they are going to leave with something. What if I don't come back? Yes. The old man in the west said with a smile. I'm going too. Small Stink said, I also want to find them, you just left, do you want us to do nothing here? Nangong Yi and others around didn't speak, but looking at their eyes, they felt that they also thought so, and they couldn't just wait to die. Don't worry. We have our own way to look for them, and I guess the place they stay is not suitable for you. After all strength, and only the 4 of us can find them as quickly as possible, said the old man. With these words, everyone finally said nothing more. Everyone knew their own strength. If they went together, it would certainly have an impact. You don't have to. I'll wait and say goodbye. When the Western elder saw that they were all pacified, he left a sentence like this, and then the figure of the 4 disappeared directly in front of the crowd. In fact, what they didn't say is that they not only need to find Yunwu to bring her back, but also need to find the whereabouts of Longqingxi. If things are really the same as what they expected, if they don't do it, the consequences will be unimaginable. At the entrance of the dark place, Yunwu stood at the door, with a huge stomach and a big knife. She looked at the knight in front of her, cold as ice. Cloud Dance frowns, Gu Wu's sword is in his hand, and he stares at the knight in front of him warily. The dark smell of the knight in front of him is stronger than ever. When he stands in front of Cloud Dance and looks at Cloud Dance, he smiles with evil spirits. See, the knight is not moved at all. Cloud Dance frowns. Knight, you say a condition, how can let me go? However, in front of the knight is a light look, looking at the Cloud Dance alert look, a smile helpless. Cloud Dance, clearly is a good friend, why do so stiff? Good friend? Yunwu sneered. She held the sword tightly in her hand, and the purple fighting spirit immediately enveloped her whole body. She sent out a strong murderous atmosphere, and her whole body was on high alert. I don't have a good friend like you. Hearing this, she couldn't help laughing and said, Yunwu, there's still a little time for the baby to be born. If you don't listen now, you will be out in the future. If you have any problems, don't blame me again. Of course not. If something goes wrong with my child, I'll be responsible for it myself. Cloud Dance sneers, so, are you willing to let me go now? Gently shook his head, the knight sighed, Yunwu, you know, I will not let you go today, so you'd better give up the idea of leaving. Cloud Dance eyebrows a cold, suddenly will Gu Wu big knife clench, tightly pursed lips, rushed to the knight in front of. Because of giving birth to a child, her physical strength is obviously not as good as before, and her heavy stomach hinders her action, but her speed of wielding a knife is not slow at all. The big knife is wrapped with fighting spirit, and cuts towards the knight's head at a high speed. But the knight just stood there, helpless smile, like a joke on a disobedient child. Suddenly, his figure disappeared in front of Yunwu. Before Yunwu could react, the voice of the knight suddenly appeared behind Yunwu. Yunwu, I have said, don't use force, don't be angry, it's not good for the child. Cloud Dance heart, you deceive me for so long, how can you deceive me again? But, before she left here, it is impossible to say so, because, Cloud Dance don't know if Night after understanding how to her. He quickly dodged, and then a strong wind flew from Yunwoo's cheek. Then, Yunwoo's heart tightened, and his cheek hair had been cut off too. Suddenly, a bloodstain appeared on Yunwoo's cheek. How fast? Yunwoo narrowed his eyes and looked at the black-robed man standing in front of him. He saw that his dark breath was more and more strong. Now the dark breath disgusted Yunwoo and he couldn't help waving his knife. Night also narrowed his eyes, but the corner of his mouth is a touch of light smile, flash back, just to avoid the cloud of the knife. Cloud Dance does not yield, continue to wave a knife, but the Night continues to avoid. The body is not as good as before, just waving two knives, Yunwoo is already out of breath. Looking up at the Night in front of him, Yunwoo frowned and said, if you don't let her go today, you will fight with him to death. Have you had enough of Cloud Dance? Night suddenly joked, and then, before Yunwoo could react, Night had already come to Yunwoo, reached for Yunwoo's hand and threw her knife to the ground. Yunwoo was defeated at all, and was subdued easily by the Night. He pushed Sang Sang all the way from the entrance of the cave to bring Yunwoo back to the dark place. Next to the boulder, it was a very cold and dark place, which made Yunwoo a little desperate. Looking at the Night in front of him, he didn't say a word, but his whole body was cold and murderous. Yunwoo, okay, don't continue to monkey around. You need to know that this child is the child of you and the dragon. Are you willing to kill your child? Cloud Dance heart bitter, looking down at his stomach, but now the stomach of another child had to do. Is it true to let the children of dark constitution be born and the children of bright constitution die? Of course not, but if I don't leave here again, I'm afraid my baby will be born and there will be no mother. Yunwoo said coldly. The energy of the dark place made Yunwoo very uncomfortable, but she was silent. So, the baby will be born soon. You'd better stick to it. I don't think you can die. Night haha laughs, patted lightly Cloud Dance's shoulder. Well, you go. I'll be by myself. Cloud Dance tired close eyes, not only body tired, heart more tired. Night see Cloud Dance seems really no longer struggling, silent for a while, turned away. In the dark, there is another Cloud Dancing person left. In the dark, her breathing is echoing, cold and piercing, penetrating her heart. It's ridiculous. The reason for the Night is too high sounding. Yunwoo sits under the stone and covers her stomach. Bursts of cold and fatigue rush to her whole body, which makes her even lazy to move. Close your eyes, and Night fighting tired, let her finally can't hold, gradually sleep in the past. When she woke up again, the first thing she saw was a face of Night in the dark. Night sitting next to Yunwoo, looking at Yunwoo with a smile. Are you awake? Come and eat. Yunwoo's heart sank. Today's maid did not come. This person actually sat beside Yunwoo, waiting for her to wake up, and the meal was also brought by him and put in front of Yunwoo. Cloud Dance brow tight wrinkly, indifference way, how this time change pattern. You misunderstood Yunwoo. I'm just worried that my maid can't take care of you, so I'll take care of you myself, she said with a smile. Cloud Dance snorts coldly in her heart. You come to take care of me yourself. I'm afraid you'll watch me yourself. You're afraid that your maid won't be able to fight me. That's why you're taking the place of your maid now. And the baby will be born soon. I'm afraid you're going to start first. However, Yunwoo didn't say anything, because the current situation is very bad for her. The Night unfolds the food box in front of Yunwoo, and puts all the food in it in front of Yunwoo. Yunwoo rejects the food from the Night, but now for self-protection. But with a sigh, Yunwoo picked up chopsticks and ate the food in front of him. However, although there is a lot of food, Yunwoo doesn't know what to eat, but he is worried about what to do if the child is born. He slowly ate the food in front of him. Yunwoo's stomach was not so uncomfortable. He put down his chopsticks and looked up at the Night and said, I think you can go. Next time, you don't have to trouble the Night Master. Just ask your servants to give me something. Night chuckles twice, seems to be very happy, did not continue to speak, just packed the box, turned and left. For some reason, Cloud Dance has an ominous feeling. Because the stone is too cold and the dark energy is too thick, Yunwoo can only sit under the stone, slightly reduce the dark energy intake, close his eyes, look at the dying baby in his stomach, and divide the source of life to him. This time, the little guy didn't absorb it quickly as usual, but slowly, as if his breath was also weak. Sure enough, the child was very weak. If you don't enter the environment of Tao light energy, you may die. Heart is very tangled, patiently will be the source of life to the baby to support his life, but heard of footsteps. Yunwoo opened his eyes and looked up. The night came in again. Yunwoo, in order to take care of you better, I decided to live here with you in the last few days. In this way, it will be more conducive for me to observe your situation. If anything happens, I'll make preparations in advance. Night said, particularly sincere, but Yunwoo did not pay any attention, who do not know what your heart, under the banner of care, is actually to monitor their own. Whatever you want. Yunwoo was a little discouraged. He just sat there and didn't say a word. The night laughs and sits beside Yunwoo. The dark atmosphere makes Yunwoo feel very uncomfortable. She has to frown, close her eyes and say nothing. Night really stayed next to Yunwoo. He was still wearing a black robe, but he was more indifferent than Yunwoo. He didn't seem to feel the cold and depression here. In the whole dark place, Yunwoo was the only one, but the night suddenly appeared. Instead of feeling comfortable, Yunwoo felt miserable, and was always on guard for fear that the night would do something to him. But the night didn't care at all. He sat down beside the boulder leisurely, and then got up to walk around. It was obvious that Yunwoo was about to give birth. He didn't intend to be monitored by others, but came to the scene himself. In this way, it would reduce the possibility of all bad things and prevent Yunwoo from escaping. Yunwoo didn't expect that Night should attach so much importance to the child. Sitting on the edge of the boulder, Yunwoo sits cross-legged and closes her eyes tightly. Yunwoo wants to seize all the time to improve herself and keep herself in the best condition. However, there is one thing that makes Yunwoo very confused. She doesn't understand the value of the child for the Night. Night tried every means to get the child, even at the expense of cheating and forcible kidnapping, even regardless of the death of another child, forced Yunwoo to give birth to the child, so the child with dark constitution must be very important to Night. Always feel that the Night is planning something unknown. And now Night so try to imprison himself here, must have been planning for a long time. When she thought about this, Yunwoo suddenly felt a thump in her heart, because she suddenly thought that when she was on the top of the desert, she gave Yunwoo the key of earth power for no reason. At that time, she thought that this person might also hate the Beast Gate, and express support for what she had done, which was also a contribution to her plan. However, when I think about it now, Yunwoo can't help but frown and look gloomy. Maybe at that time, Yi had expected everything in the future, including that she would kill Shengguansheng, destroy the Beast Gate, and then cultivate the right fruit with the dragon to give birth to the child. And he is also very willing to see this result, because this child is his purpose as a kind-hearted person for a long time. With this in mind, Yunwoo suddenly feels that the temperature around her has dropped suddenly, and she has goosebumps. The man around her is too deep. Thinking of the current situation and the attitude of the night before, Yunwoo suddenly feels ominous. She can't help but turn her head and look at the handsome man with closed eyes, the man sitting on the edge of the stone, who doesn't move. When Yunwoo's eyes touch him, she seems to feel Yunwoo looking at him. She suddenly opens her eyes, turns to Yunwoo, and then smiles. Cloud Dance can't help but frown, quickly turn his head, and close his eyes. In my heart, I can't help but wonder, if he can really predict so many things, what kind of existence is this person? So far, Yunwoo's understanding of night is limited to some things on the top of the desert. Although he was confused in his heart, on the surface, Yunwoo still sat there quietly and practiced meticulously, passing his life source to the baby for him to live, and then continued to increase his cultivation. But Yunwoo didn't dare to sleep, because Yunwoo was afraid of what he would do to himself after he fell asleep, so he stayed up all night. When Yunwoo opens her eyes again and turns her head, she sees the knight sitting by her side and looking at Yunwoo with her eyes open. This makes Yunwoo feel cold and sweaty. This person seems to have been sleeping and monitoring himself all the time. Yunwoo took a deep breath and closed her eyes, but she felt uncomfortable, because she always felt that there was a pair of eyes around her, looking at her without blinking. In this way, the long time of cloud dance is spent in a daze. When you open your eyes again, the whole dark place is full of black energy. Cloud dance can already distinguish it. Now is the night, when the dark energy is the strongest, and the giant baby in Cloud Dance's belly is the most active. She lowers her head to touch her stomach. How the child moves in her stomach can be clearly detected by Yunwoo. When she opens her eyes, she still looks at herself with a smile on her face. Yunwoo feels chilly. She frowns and breathes. She is going to continue to practice with her eyes closed. Yunwoo, did you sleep well? How are you feeling now? Knight came forward and looked at Yunwoo carefully. It felt like a husband was looking at his wife who was pregnant in October. But Yunwoo frowned and turned to avoid. You stay away from me. Knight haha a smile, stand up, carrying both hands, standing beside the boulder. Lord Knight, I'm here to deliver the meal. At the entrance, a woman's figure came down from above. It was dark. She moved slowly, as if afraid of falling down. Yunwoo opened her eyes and saw that a strange face slowly came to them by the yellow candle. Lord Knight, I'm here. Please have dinner. Put the things in your food box on the ground a little bit, and look around. It's obvious that it's a novelty to be here for the first time. Yunwoo also opened his eyes, looked at the things on the ground, pursed his mouth and frowned. After thinking for a while, he went to sit down, picked up chopsticks and ate. Surprised, he turned around and said with a smile, Yunwoo, why are you so obedient today? Yunwoo frowned tightly, and there was no extra expression fluctuation on his cold face, so he continued to eat vegetables. Why are you obedient? Just need to save physical strength. Cloud Dance just won't be silly enough to be angry to starve herself, she is ready to leave everything. Knight see Cloud Dance ignore him, also not angry, just laughing eat. Yunwoo looks at the maid in front of her. She's a new face. I'm afraid that maid has been killed by Knight's people. Lower your head and take a small bite of the food into your mouth. After dinner, the knight let the maid pack things back, and he continued to stay in Yunwoo's side. Because she can barely eat, Yunwoo maintains the most basic physical strength, she still does not give up, she is still looking for an opportunity to leave here. Continue to close your eyes and practice. The baby with bright constitution in his belly is not optimistic. He feels that his breath is weak. He hastens to get the source of his life. Yunwoo feels dizzy in his head. If he goes on like this, his source of life will be exhausted, and I'm afraid his oil lamp will be exhausted. But from that day on, the night of Cloud Dancing is not so good. When she goes to bed at night, the dark energy of the whole dark place is the most abundant. The cold black fog is full of all around, which makes Yunwoo feel depressed and cold. Yunwoo is very uncomfortable. She feels something pressing on her heart, which makes her depressed and breathless. She continued to sit on the boulder, absorbing the dark energy to supply the giant baby, and continued to separate the source of life to the baby, but unexpectedly, the two children, as if they were suddenly hurt by something, kept making noise in her stomach. Suddenly a burst of colic, let Cloud Dance can't help but cry out, involuntarily curled up together. Is it going to have a baby? Yunwoo frowned painfully, and her stomach activity was very obvious. Yunwoo glanced at her stomach with Yu Guang, and could see her stomach moving. She was tired and lying on the boulder, breathing deeply to calm herself down. But there is no way, the belly of the child is more active, wave after wave of pain and suffocation swept, let Cloud Dance tired, sweating, but can't sleep, plus Cloud Dance will be every day to the baby's source of life, so now the body loss is very big, at this time, it is close to collapse. Tired to open his eyes, looking at his stomach, vomit, how just solved a problem, followed by the emergence of this kind of problem, really make the head big. There was no sleep all night, until the strong dark atmosphere turned to light. Yunwoo finally came out from the pain, suddenly relieved, drowsy, and then fell asleep. The next day, however, night arrived as scheduled. Yunwoo's stomach began to stir up again. The day yesterday was even more intense. She was exhausted. With her eyes closed, her forehead was full of sweat, and her whole body was soaked with sweat. Yunwoo didn't know how to deal with it, so she had to let the children in her stomach continue to stir up, and then get through the hard night. This night is more painful than every day before. Just thinking about this, Yunwoo suddenly felt that a pair of warm palms were slowly attached to Yunwoo's stomach, and then a stream of energy poured in from these hands. When Yunwoo opened her eyes, she saw that Night's hands were pressing on her belly, and a dark force slowly entered Yunwoo's belly, with the transpiration of black, which was a little depressing and terrible. But the baby in her stomach suddenly calms down. This feeling makes Yunwoo feel relaxed. She is a little sleepy. Just when her eyes open and close, she can't think, but her heart suddenly sinks. This man will never be so kind to relieve his pain. What does he want to do? Looking up at the Knight in front of him angrily, I saw that Knight was obsessed with looking at his stomach. There was always a kind of love in his eyes, which was about to be a father. He was smiling and his eyes were full of infatuation. However, this child was not his at all. Yunwoo gnashes her teeth and glares, but she still transmits energy to her stomach. Yunwoo's heart is not good. He believes that since the Knight chooses to stay in the dark, it will not leave a bright baby, so he looks inside his body. But found that the power of the Knight into the body, although it can really make the dark constitution of the baby quiet down, but another child seems to be hurt, suddenly fears struggle.